Hello, good evening, and welcome to another big night of football here on Solent Sports News Midweek Live. Last night on our show, we brought you the late drama at Old Trafford in the Champions League, as well as a big win for Arsenal in Spain and some important results in the EFL. Tonight, though, of course, we'll be following the exploits of Newcastle as they look to continue their unbeaten life in Europe's Elite Cup competition. Manchester City as they travel to Switzerland to face Young Boys and Celtic's home clash with Atletico Madrid. Southampton, they're also in action in the Championship as they visit Lancashire to face Preston North End. Whilst here we have a reporter at AFC Tottenham to give us updates on their game against Didcot Town. We'll also be keeping an eye on the goals as they go in around the rest of footballing fixtures. So sit back, relax, enjoy the next 2.5 hours of uninterrupted sports updates, courtesy of sports journalism students at Solent University. This is Solent Sports News Midweek Live. Okay, without further ado then, let's go to the Sky Bet Championship. Big game as far as one of our local teams, Southampton, are concerned. They're away at Preston North End, kicking off at 7:45. Watching for us at Deepdale is Rhys Barrett.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, the Saints travel to Deepdale for official competition for the first time in 15 years tonight as Preston host Southampton in the Championship. Preston have won 6 games this season to see themselves in 4th. They haven't been in the top flight since 1961, but if they keep at this rate, they're in for a shout of promotion. After last night's games, Southampton have dropped out of playoff places and sit in 8th. Both teams also in negative goal difference, and for Preston, it's easy to see why. They've conceded in 11 home games straight now. Don't tune out this game, though, no matter where the scoreline goes. It's very much been the late show for Southampton, who have scored 3 match-winning goals this season after the 85th minute. And for teams, Saints start Bazunu in goal. Walker-Peters, Bednarek, Holgate and Bree make the back 4, Bree replacing the suspended Ryan Manning. Downs, Charles and Smallbone are the 3 in midfield, and Adams and Adozie return to the lineup alongside Adam Armstrong up front. For Preston, Woodman in goal. Lindsay, Story and Cunningham's are back 3. Potts, Whitman, Brown and Miller ahead. And Froika, Holmes and Keane up front. Kickoff is at 2:15.
Thanks very much there to Rhys Barrett, keeping an eye on Preston against Southampton. Also in the Championship, Rotherham United are up against Coventry City. Ethan Green is watching this one for us.
Thanks, Will. I'm here at the New York Stadium for a match between Rotherham United and Coventry City. This is a fixture between both two teams that got gained promotion to the Championship in the shortened 2020 COVID season. Coventry being crowned champions that season, while Rotherham finished second. The Sky Blues won 3 of the last 4 games against the Millers, while the Millers haven't beaten their opponents since 2019. Both teams haven't started the season up to their expectations. Rotherham sits second from bottom, only earning 6 points from their first 11 games. Coventry, on the other hand, sit in mid-table, which isn't where the manager Mark Robbins would like to be after his side made the playoff final last season. Lineups. Rotherham made 3 changes from the side which drew Southampton. Defender Morrison comes in alongside forwards Hugill and Appiah. Coventry make 2 changes for the team from the side which lost 1-0 to Bristol City. Letabayer and Brighton loanee Ayari come into the side as they look to get back to winning ways in the league.
Thanks very much there to Ethan, who's keeping an eye on Rotherham against Coventry City in the Sky Bet Championship. There's a whole raft of other games going on in England, which we'll be keeping abreast of up and down the nation. But also, importantly, in the Southern League South, one of our local teams, AFC Tottenham, are hosting Didcot Town. And live for us there is Jamie Hale. Jamie.
Well, I mean, it is the 7th tier of English football, so not the great quality of the Championship and the Champions League, but I am definitely sure that we're going to have a lot of entertainment tonight. Didcot Town come into this game second from bottom in the league so far, having only won 1 game. Tottenham's home form this year has been impeccable, in my opinion, being here most weeks. We've ended up winning 4 from the last 5 at home, unfortunately losing in the FA Cup 4th round qualifying. Since that heartbreak, though, Scott Rendell has been on immaculate form, scoring 3 in the last 3 games. And for the Tottenham side, we have Lewis Noyce in goal, who's well over 100 appearances now. Benny Reid, Jordan Regay, Luke Hallett, Joe Rosler, Adam Tommaso, the captain Scott Rendell in fine form up top, with John Trujese, Sam Magbury, Matty Burrows and Liam Maloney finishing the lineup for Scotland. After Didcot Town, who have been in for the moment, are looking to change their ways, have Lee Baldwell in goal, Aaron Bromfield, Cameron McNeil, Oliver Case, Harvey Giles, Adam Leroy, Joshua Grant, Benjamin Putland, Seth Humphreys, sorry about this, Jason Wright and Robbie Gallagher. I have an absolute awful lot of young Didcot fans who are already whistling at me, so this is going to be a tasty night for me, but I'm hoping that can be replicated on the pitch today.
Great stuff. Thanks very much there to Jamie watching AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town in the Southern League Premier South Division. So Preston against Southampton, Rotherham against Coventry and AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town, all 7:45 kickoffs. They'll be getting underway in the next 5 minutes or so, but we'll also be keeping an eye on what's going on in the UEFA Champions League tonight. Of course, we had Manchester United and Arsenal in terms of British teams in action last night, Tuesday night, but this evening we've got the likes of Celtic, Newcastle United and Manchester City, and we've got reporters at all those games up and down the continent of Europe. So without further ado, let's go to Group E. As I say, an 8 o'clock kickoff, Celtic entertaining Atletico Madrid at Parkhead. I'm watching this one for us, Luke John Buckle.
Thank you, Will. Celtic head into this fixture top of the Scottish Premiership, but have been floundering in Europe, sitting bottom of Group E. The Scottish champions have failed to beat Atletico Madrid in all 6 of their previous meetings, most recently in 2011. The Spaniards occupy 4th place in the Liga and are fresh from a 3-0 win over Celta Vigo at the weekend. Joe Hart remains in goal for Celtic. It's a back four of Johnston, Carter Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor, a midfield 3 of Matt O'Reilly, who scored in the win over Hearts at the weekend, alongside McGregor and Hatate, and a front 3 of Maida, Palmer and Furuhashi up front. For the visitors, the ever-reliable Jan Oblak in goal, a back 4 of Molina, Witzel, Savic and Hermoso, a midfield 4 of Gallen, DePaul, Koke and Niguez, and an attack, former Chelsea man Alvaro Morata and Antoine Griezmann, who scored a hat-trick over Celta Vigo on Saturday. And kick-off is at 8 p.m.
Thanks very much there to Luke John Buckle, keeping an eye on Celtic against Atletico Madrid. Okay, also in Group E, also an 8 o'clock kickoff, AC Milan at the San Siro this evening against PSG. Ethan Moss-Willis, Will's watching this one for us.
Well, it's a big game tonight in the Group of Death, Group F in the Champions League. PSG against AC Milan at the Parc des Princes. Gianluigi Donnarumma is starting in goal for PSG tonight, playing his former side AC Milan for the first time since he departed. In front of him, you have Achraf Hakimi starting at right back, Milan Skriniar centre back, along with his partner Marquinhos, who is captaining the side tonight. Lucas Hernandez will be playing his younger brother Theo Hernandez this evening as he starts at left back for PSG. Meanwhile, in midfield, Manuel Ugarte starts alongside Vitinha and Warren Zaire-Emery, who impressed against Newcastle a couple of weeks ago in the Champions League. Meanwhile, you have Ousmane Dembele starting on the right wing, who's yet to score a first goal for PSG. Meanwhile, Randal Kolo Muani is starting up front alongside Kylian Mbappe. Now on to AC Milan. Mike Maignan is yet to concede a goal so far in the Champions League this season and will be hoping for more of the same tonight as he starts in goal. Pierre Kalulu starts at right back after having a game to forget against Juventus on the weekend, finding himself sent off. Malik Thiaw starts at centre-back alongside Fikayo Tomori, while Theo Hernandez captains the side tonight at left-back. Tijani Reinders, a signing in the summer, starts in midfield alongside Red Krunic and Yunus Musa. In the attack, you have Christian Pulisic signing from Chelsea this summer, former Chelsea man Olivier Giroud, and on the left wing, the main man, Rafael Leao. Kickoff will be in 15 minutes.
Thanks very much there to Ethan. He's quite right. I said San Siro, didn't I? PSG entertaining AC Milan at the Parc des Princes in the French capital, of course. Okay, on to Group F. Newcastle United, their season has started brilliantly well, hasn't it? Both domestically and in Europe. James Regan, though, at St James's Park tonight, watching Newcastle take on Dortmund. James.
Yeah, as you said, Will, both sides actually do come into this game with some relatively good form. Newcastle enjoying the unbeaten life in the Champions League. You actually have to look all the way back to August to see Newcastle's last loss, which came against Liverpool in a 2-1 loss in the league. Dortmund, however, won their last 5 league matches, with their last loss coming in this competition against PSG. Newcastle obviously thrashing PSG in their last Champions League match 4-1. Newcastle line up with their sacred 4-3-3. There's been one change as Joelinton comes in for Tonali. Tonali dropped to the bench. Maybe after the 10-month ban got announced today, that might have something to do with Eddie Howe's pre-match game plan. Borussia Dortmund match Newcastle with their 4-3-3 formation themselves. There's been 3 changes for them since their last Champions League match versus AC Milan, which was 0-0. Wolf comes in for Ryerson, who is injured. That just got announced late today, which is a big blow for Dortmund. Nemecha comes in for Ozan, who drops to the bench, and Sabitzer returns from injury and replaces Brandt. Interesting, as Brandt has created the most chances across these 2 games in the Champions League of 8, but he's not included in the squad. My guess would be that he's ruled out through injury, but there was no updates on that. 15 minutes ahead of kickoff, Will. I'm excited for this one.
Excellent, we certainly are. Newcastle entertaining Dortmund at St James's Park, thanks to James. Okay, and our last focused game tonight in Group G, Young Boys of Switzerland taking on Manchester City at the Wankdorf Stadium. Tom Goward watching this one for us.
Thanks, Will. So this is the first competitive match between Young Boys and Man City, and for a win for the citizens tonight would see them lift themselves out of Group G. A big match for both the English champions and the Swiss champions. So here's how the teams line up at the Wankdorf Stadium. So for Young Boys, they're playing a 4-3-1-2 formation with Rashapi in goal, a back four of Blum, Kamara, Binotti and Garcia, Montreal, Lopi, Kanassi and Ugrinic in midfield, and Itan and Elia make up the attack for the Young Boys. Man City line up in a 3-2-4-1 formation. Edison starts in goal. Walker, Akanji and Diaz make a back 3. Rodri and Kovacic hold the 2 CDMs, Foden, Nunes and Grealish in midfield, and the danger man Haaland up front. Kickoff at 8 p.m.
Thanks very much there to Tom Goward, keeping an eye on Young Boys against Man City. So they're the games that we will be focusing on tonight on Solent Sports News. Again, just to recap, in the Championship, 7:45 kickoff, so they're just underway. Preston North End entertaining Southampton at Deepdale. We've got the Rotherham United against Coventry City at the New York Stadium. In the Southern League Premier South, AFC Tottenham entertaining Didcot Town at the Snows Stadium. Then also in the Champions League tonight, we've got eyes all over. Celtic against Atletico Madrid, PSG against AC Milan, Newcastle United against Dortmund, and Young Boys against Manchester City. Just for your information, elsewhere in the Championship, above and beyond the Preston Saints game, Birmingham are taking on Hull, Bristol City are entertaining Ipswich, it's Plymouth against Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham against Coventry, and Stoke against Leeds. In the National League South tonight, Havant and Waterloo are also in action against Aveley. And just to update you on a couple of other games in the Champions League group stages tonight, Antwerp take on FC Porto, and RB Leipzig are also playing against Red Star Belgrade. And there's 2 full times from earlier on. In Barcelona's group, Barcelona beat Shakhtar Donetsk by 2-1, and also Feyenoord in an early kickoff beat Lazio by 3-1. Okay, right, let's go back to our live reporters, back to the Sky Bet Championship. Kickoff, no doubt, has already taken place. We're up and running at Deepdale. Preston against Southampton. How have the early exchanges gone, Rhys Barrett?
Well, Will, to be honest with you, we're not quite underway yet. We've just had a minute of applause here for Sir Bobby Charlton, who, of course, passed away this week. A really good show of appreciation from the supporters here. both sides in unison clapping at the moment, and the players stood around the centre circle. Yeah, we're still probably a couple minutes away from kickoff on what I'm seeing right now. All of the managers, all of the backroom staff joining in as well, of course, in the minute of applause. I think that we're going to have a cagey start. Preston are really defensive and they're really good at home when they defend. They're going to be really hard to break down, but Southampton have scored a few goals in the last few matches, 2 against Hull. We'll have to see how they start off, but yeah, still a few minutes away from kickoff.
Okay, thanks very much. We'll come back to Reece in due course. Let's go down to the Southern League Premier Division. AFC Tottenham against Didcot. Jamie, you've already got a goal in the opening exchanges.
Yes, we do. We have a goal for AFC Tottenham in the 2nd minute. AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 0. It was a corner floated in, and it came to the back post where Sam Tredozi scored an acrobatic attempt into the far corner. 3 minutes gone here. AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 0.
Thank you very much, Jamie. A goal in the opening exchanges there. AFC Tottenham very much in the ascendancy. Back to the Championship then. To Rotherham United, who are at home against Coventry City at the New York Stadium. Ethan Green watching this one for us. What are you, 2 or 3 minutes in, Ethan? How have the early exchanges gone there?
Yes, well, a couple minutes in here, still 0-0 here between Rotherham United and Coventry City. It's been a very open game so far, to be honest. It's been end-to-end. Rotherham had a shot when one of their fullbacks smashed it to the near side, but Coventry keeper Ben Wilson covered it early. Yeah, I mean, Rotherham on counter right now, but it's been smothered out. But Coventry also had another chance. Fullback De Silva crossed it in towards Coventry striker Matty Godden. However, that was blocked by the goalie who made a good save. Exciting start here, still 0-0, expecting goals in this one.
Let's certainly hope so. Going back to that game, incidentally, of course, that Reece was talking about between Preston and Southampton, perhaps unsurprising that the minute's applause for Sir Bobby Charlton was appreciated in the way that it was, because, of course, after being a player, Sir Bobby Charlton had a short period of time at Preston North End as a manager. He wasn't a hugely successful manager, but he is still very fondly remembered in that particular corner of Lancashire. So we're really pleasing to hear from Reece that it was very well honoured, and his memory will continue to be honoured in the Northwest, as indeed it will be around the rest of the country. So we're 5-6 minutes into Championship games, no goals as we speak. Incidentally, I mentioned the Leeds against Stoke game at the Bet365. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff in that match. So that score will be coming in a little bit later, along with the Champions League ones. Let's go back to Luke John Buckle, watching Celtic against Atletico Madrid at Parkhead. I know the game isn't underway, but what sort of atmosphere do you think that there's going to be at Parkhead tonight, Luke John? And do Celtic have it in them to be able to claim another fantastic night of international football in Glasgow?
Yeah, I think it'll be a really raucous atmosphere at Celtic Park. We know how tough Celtic Park is to go to, and although we've seen Celtic floundering a bit in Europe, they've suffered defeats to Feyenoord and Lazio already. It's such a difficult place to go to that Atletico Madrid are going to have to be on their game tonight, despite all their good form in Europe and the win over Celta Vigo.
Well, it's not that long ago. I certainly remember Celtic beating Barcelona at Celtic Park under the tuition of Gordon Strachan. And who knows, that might even be replicated tonight. In terms of AC Milan and PSG at the Parc des Princes, rather, Ethan, again, two teams that have started their domestic seasons okay, but of course for them, it's less about what goes on in their respective countries, isn't it? It's about making a big impression as much as they can on the European stage.
Well, it's seen as a massive game for PSG tonight. They've had a somewhat uninspiring start to the season, kind of capped off by that result against Newcastle just a couple of weeks ago. Kylian Mbappe was on a 4-game goal drought, but he ended that just after the international break and found himself on fine form for France. He actually has 4 goals and 2 assists in his last 3 games. Brilliant form from the Frenchman. But there's a lot to look forward to tonight. Luis Enrique's reverted back to his 4-3-3, where he's previously tried a 4-2-4 against Newcastle United, which didn't go to plan. as Newcastle crowded the midfield and bossed it at St James's. But there's a lot of pressure out of this one. Both sides looking to pick up another win. AC Milan still searching for their first goal.
Absolutely right. And of course, the pressure from PSG is on about making an impact on the European stage. 9, wasn't it? 9 titles in 10 years for PSG domestically. But other than that one final a few years ago, haven't really made the impact that they or their Qatari owners would have liked when it comes to the Champions League. We will watch that one and indeed the rest of the season with interest. Okay, to Newcastle against Dortmund. Again, appreciate you're not kicked off yet, James, but no doubt the atmosphere is building quite extensively at St James's Park.
Yeah, players just in the tunnel now, lingering up. Some words being spoken to from each team, actually. Maybe trying to get in each other's heads, I'm not sure, but the atmosphere is absolutely mental, as you can imagine, at St James's Park. And the fans can't wait to get underway.
Thank you, James. And as far as Manchester City are concerned, Tom, at Young Boys, you were talking earlier on about the particular game that they are going to be focusing tonight. But for Man City, it's a whole different level of pressure, isn't it, to hopefully, as far as they're concerned, regain the Champions League, something that most clubs find very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, well, they're unbeaten in their last 15 Champions League games, and like you say, they won it last year. But they've not been the best City we've seen this season. They haven't kept a clean sheet in their last 5 games. I mean, now they've dropped some points in the league as well. So they're also away from home. So there's a few things going maybe in Young Boys' favour, and against Man City. But with Haaland up front and that 4 in attack as well, just sitting behind him, I'm sure they can do the job over Young Boys tonight and make it through to the knockouts.
I think that's probably the case, certainly, as you say, with the firepower and the creativity that they have throughout their side. Okay, thanks for the moment. We'll get back to the Champions League games when they kick off in the next few moments or so. Back to the Championship then. Back to Reece, watching Preston against Southampton, beg your pardon, at Deepdale. Opening exchanges. How would you assess the first 6 or 7 minutes, Reece?
Yeah, 6 minutes gone here at Deepdale. Cagey is the word I'd use. Southampton slowing down the game, playing out from the back, pushing forward right now through Walker-Peters as I speak, but not a lot has happened so far. A brilliant diagonal ball from Mason Holgate, who's sporting a new dyed blonde hair at the moment, and he's looking pretty good, but for a player with 126 Premier League appearances, he probably should look quite good. So a slow start, but a pretty balanced start so far. 6 minutes played here, 0-0.
Thanks very much to Reece. Elsewhere in the Championship, Rotherham United, as we mentioned, taking on Coventry City at the New York Stadium. How have the opening exchanges been for you, Ethan Green?
Yes, 0-0 here. Rotherham United 0, Coventry City 0. Both fans of either side will not be surprised at the way this game started. Coventry have dominated possession in most of their games this season, and they look to do it tonight. And Rotherham are happy to sit back and let Coventry try and pick them apart. Rotherham had a free kick earlier just now on the right-hand side. They whipped it in, but it went just off one of their attackers into their box. Coventry had another corner earlier on as well. However, it got cleared away comfortably. But apart from that, not much really to comment on as far. I mean, goalies have just been booting it back and forth to each other at the moment. So, yeah, Rotherham United 0, Coventry City.
Thanks very much to Ethan. Both teams feeling each other out in the opening exchanges in the Championship game. So 0-0 between Preston and Southampton, 0-0 between Rotherham United and Coventry City, both 7:45 kickoffs. Also 7:45 kickoffs in the Championship. Birmingham 0, Hull City 0. It's Bristol City 0, Ipswich 0. Plymouth 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0. And an 8 o'clock kickoff will be Stoke against Leeds. That rounds up the action in England's second tier tonight. In the National League South, by the way, Havant and Waterlooville have taken the lead against Aveley. They lead by 1-0. Let's go back then to the Snow Stadium, to Jamie Hale, watching AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town. Jamie.
It's been 15 minutes gone. AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 0. At the moment, it's been a very cagey affair, very end-to-end action. Didcot Town actually having the better of the possession and in the attacking third, with number 7, Joshua Grant, actually producing a little bit of magic and trickery, playing a little 1-2, which unfortunately didn't go through for a chance. No real chances here. 15 minutes gone. FC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 0.
Thanks to Jamie. So other than that goal in the first couple of minutes, very little happening there at the Snows Stadium. Okay, let's go back to our Champions League reporters, because the time has turned 8 o'clock. And we should be pretty much up and running. In fact, I can see that on my monitor, the Antwerp's game against FC Porto has indeed started. Let's first of all go to Celtic Park. Celtic against Atletico Madrid. Luke John Buckle.
Yeah, just about to get underway here at Celtic Park. And it was a great atmosphere before the game. The Champions League anthem was drowned out by the noise in the stadium. And Atletico Madrid have got the ball in the centre circle now, just about to get underway at a very cold night at Celtic Park. And Celtic really need a win tonight, especially as Feyenoord got the win over Lazio earlier on.
Indeed, they do. So they'll be wanting to match them as much as they possibly can in Group E. Also in Group E, of course, AC Milan against PSG. At the Parc des Princes, up and running. Ethan Moss-Wills?
Yeah, we're just about to kick off here. I've got to say, before the game started, the atmosphere was crazy. You had flares going off, tifos everywhere from the PSG fans. And we are underway. Straight PSG playing in that old retro kit that you might remember Zlatan donning back in the day. But it's going to be a fiery one, I think, tonight. Both teams know how much it matters. And an early offside for PSG as they aim to get the ball up to Kolo Muani straight off the bat.
Indeed. Also in that group, thanks to Ethan, also in Group F, along with AC Milan and PSG, Newcastle United and Dortmund, up and running at St James's Park, James Regan. Well, we'll come back to James. Can't seem to hear him for a second or so. But we will, in fact, let's go down to the Snow Stadium, because I believe that Jamie Hell has got another goal in the Southern League South Division. Jamie.
17 minutes gone here. AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 1. The ball was played down brilliantly from the left-hand side before the ball was put into the 6-yard area, where Ben Partland found himself with eggs of space to head the ball into an almost open right-hand side of the net. There has also been a substitution for Tottenham due to an early injury forced down that left-hand side. Benny Reid has had to be replaced by Charlie Kennedy due to getting injured in the build-up. So, 17 minutes gone. AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 1.
Thanks very much, Jamie. So Jamie's got all the early goals in his game down at the Snows Stadium. Good to have a reporter at a local match as well. Let's go back to James Regan. Early exchanges in Group F between Newcastle and Dortmund, James.
Yeah, sorry about that, Will. Not too sure what happened there. Newcastle just growing into the game ever so slightly. Anthony Gordon had a shot on target, well saved by Kobel. That was just from outside of the edge of the box. And then the referee shortly blew up after for Borussia Dortmund free kick as Joe Linton fouled. Still 0-0 here, but it's good to see that Newcastle are backing themselves. Obviously, they will do at home. But I think we're in for a treat here. 0-0.
Let's hope so. I'm sure the 52,000 odd Newcastle United fans will be savouring the atmosphere. It's what they've been looking forward to so much, of course, being back in Europe's top club competition. Okay, finally, in terms of our UEFA Champions League reporters, Tom Goward, keeping an eye on Young Boys against Manchester City. How have City started this one, Tom?
Well, it's actually Young Boys that started the better, Will. Just under a minute before in the game, Ugranic had a chance palmed away for a corner by Ederson. Worked down the right-hand side and he just took a strike just on the edge of the box. And it was a difficult one for Ederson, but, he's a top-class keeper and he palmed it away. City have just had a corner and Diaz has just put a header just wide. But both teams starting fairly evenly. I would say Young Boys started maybe a bit better. 2.5 minutes gone.
Good to know. Fantastic. Okay, so that should be an interesting one down there in Switzerland, in Bern, which is where Young Boys play their home games at the Wankdorf Stadium. Second biggest stadium, in fact, in Switzerland. and very much quite a prestigious home ground for them. Back to the Championship, a couple of goals that have gone in to tell you about. None in the games so far as I'm aware, that our reporters are at, but there has been a goal between Bristol City and Ipswich. Broadhead has put the ball in the back of the net for Ipswich. So 16 and a half minutes gone, Bristol City 0, Ipswich Town 1 in that particular game. And also in the Championship, Liam Delap has scored his fourth goal of the season on the 12th minute. So it's Birmingham City 0, Hull City 1. Hull, and although they succumbed to that last-minute winner by Saints at the weekend, Hull actually starting the season pretty well, all in all. And they'll probably be very happy with their lot in life. Well, we mentioned Southampton. Let's go back to Rhys Barrett. Preston against Southampton at Deepdale. How have things been going in the last couple of minutes, Rhys?
Sorry, 14 minutes played here at the Deepdale. Again, still pretty end-to-end. It's end-to-end, but there's not too many chances. Preston just whipping the ball in now, but nothing comes of it as it's cleared away. Perhaps Adam Armstrong had the best chance around 10 minutes in. It was Samuel Dozie who cut in inside, a great run diagonally from the left side, went towards the centre of the pitch. Around 6 yards away from the penalty box, in line with the penalty spot as well. Adam Armstrong shot from range, but it sailed easily over the bar. That's sort of the biggest chance that's happened so far. A couple half chances on the turn, but nothing really to talk too in depth about here at the Deepdale. It's a game that's going to be competitive in the midfield and one that's going to be won in the midfield, in my opinion. But I think it's going to take some time to warm up and to actually find some cracks in both of these defensively strong sides. 15 minutes gone here, 0-0.
Thanks very much, Rhys. So Rhys doesn't have a goal, but we do have the opening goal in the Group A game in the Champions League between Celtic and Atletico Madrid at Celtic Park. Luke John Buckle, which way has it gone?
Yeah, goal for Celtic, Will. The Scottish champions have taken the lead here. It was a bit scrappy in the opening stages. And Celtic have taken the lead 5 minutes in. It was a thumping finish from Kyogo from close range. Sat down Jan Oblak. It was a lovely passing movement from Celtic. Just after Atletico Madrid missed an opportunity at the other end. And 5 minutes gone, Celtic lead 1-0.
Just the sort of start Celtic would have wanted. Kyogo Furuhashi putting Celtic ahead by a goal to 0. That would no doubt have lifted the roof off the Celtic Park Stadium for all those that would have been there to witness it. Thanks very much. So we've got our opening goal in terms of the matches that our reporters are at up in the Champions League. Nothing yet in the Championship, but let's find out how the last few minutes have been between Rotherham and Coventry City at the New York Stadium. Ethan Green.
Hi, Will. It's still 0-0 here between Rotherham and Coventry. However, we just had the biggest chance of the game. Rotherham striker Onyeka Dima had a header close range. It's just whipped right for the post. It was open though, and he would have felt like he'd done better. Coventry had another chance though early on in this match. Striker Ellis Sims, who Coventry acquired from Everton earlier this summer, had a shot in the box. However, it was saved by Rotherham keeper Johansson, who's yet to have a clean sheet this season and wants to keep one today to keep a good stat for his team. Apart from that, not much has happened here so far. Just those two chances. Still, Rotherham United 0, Coventry City 0.
Thanks very much to Ethan. That goal, by the way, that I was telling you about, that Ipswich have scored through Broadhead, that's 3 in his last 3, 6th goal of the season. Also scored for Wales against Gibraltar recently, so 4 goals in his last 5 appearances for club and country. So Broadhead and indeed Ipswich really, really enjoying their season back in the 2nd tier. So probably be hearing much more of him this season. Okay, let's go to back to the Snow Stadium to catch up with Jamie Hale watching AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town. Jamie.
20 minutes in, AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 1. Tottenham have actually built on the possession from the start of the game. It's been a little bit cagey first few minutes of the game, but Tottenham have now found their tempo and found what they're looking to do. They are looking to create chances down this left-hand side as it's coming towards Scorsese right now, who's squaring up his player before tagging the box and going out for a corner. third corner of the game here, but so far, no real chance to tell you about. 21 minutes gone, FC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 1.
Thanks very much to Jamie. So 2 goals, but not a huge amount else to report so far. Okay, we just heard from Luke John at Celtic Park. Let's then go on to Ethan, keeping an eye on PSG against AC Milan at the Parc des Princes. What are we, 5-6 minutes in maybe, Ethan? How have the opening exchanges gone?
Well, 9 minutes played, still PSG 0, AC Milan 0, but it's been a fiery one so far. I wasn't lying when I promised that. There's been 2 bookings already. Malik Thor has picked up one for a foul on Ousmane Dembele as he was breaking against the side. And Rad Krunic picked up a booking as well for a tactical foul in the centre of the pitch. AC Milan just had a free kick out on PSG's box, but they did nothing with it. And that's all it's been for chances for AC Milan. PSG are absolutely dominating this one. And I don't think it'll be long before they find another. 9 minutes gone, PSG 0, AC Milan 0.
Thanks very much, Ethan. Okay, big chances aplenty, no doubt, in the game between Newcastle and Dortmund tonight. St James's Park has seen a lot of goals, seen a lot of action so far this season. Have we seen any goals so far tonight, James Regan?
So close, and it's from the visitors, Dortmund. 10 minutes gone here, and Dortmund pulled out Nick Pope pulled out a fantastic double save, first denying Donyell Malen. This is from about 6 yards out as well. Donyell Malen got the first shot off straight at Pope, saved it, and it rebounded into the path of Füllkrug, Dortmund's striker, signing from Bremen. And it's just a chance now. And Anthony Gordon right at the other end, saved by Cobo. End-to-end stuff here, Will. I can't keep up. Yeah, fantastic double save from Nick Pope. Newcastle just had a chance there through Gordon again. It's his second shot on target of the match. Still 0-0, just gone 11 minutes.
Does sound like an entertaining game, that is for sure. So keep your eyes peeled and we may well have some goals fairly soon. Talking of goals, Manchester City have been amongst them at times this season, struggled at other times. Have the experienced European heads started against the young boys of Switzerland, Tom Goward?
Yeah, they've had much more of the ball now since you last come to me. We're just 10 minutes gone and it's all City really. They're dominating the game. The young boys are passing the ball around the back, but they seem to keep giving it away to Man City. We had a chance. Jack Grealish was running down the left-hand side, crossed it in the box to find an unmarked Mateus Nunes, who just blazed it straight over the bar from about 10 yards out. So that's probably City's best chance. City also look like they're trying to get Doku. We know he's quick. We know he's good. They're trying to get him on the ball, just running down the right-hand side. The young boys, I think, have just won a corner here. No, the referee's giving it as a goal kick. But yeah, all City really, just over 10 minutes gone, 0-0.
Thanks very much to Tom. So Manchester City now starting to assert a little bit of that experience. And Doku sounds as though he is running riot. And as Tom says, he's made a real impression, hasn't he, in the Premier League this season? Probably played not as much as he would have wanted, but when he's been coming on and when he's been starting some games, he's been really explosive and very much catching the headlights. Okay, back to the Championship then. Let me just run down some of the scores before we go to our reporters. Latest in the Championship, Birmingham City 0, Hull City 1. That was the goal from Liam Delap, his 4th goal of the season. Is the difference between the two teams at the moment. Broadhead's 6th goal of the season, or 4 in his last 5, means that Ipswich beating Bristol City Ashton Gate by 1-0. It's still goalless between Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday. And the game between Stoke and Leeds that kicked off at 8 o'clock, they are 10 minutes in that one, still goalless as we speak. Let's go back to Deepdale then. Last we heard, it was still goalless between Preston and Southampton. How have the last few moments been, Rhys Barrett?
23 minutes played here at the Deepdale. Yeah, similarly goalless, although Adam Armstrong on the edge of the box now tries the cross, but it's not going to come through. Will Smallbone just picked up his 4th booking of the season as well, so he'll be suspended for the next game. It was a really blatant shirt tug on Liam Miller, who's having a ton of joy down the left-hand side. You can't say that about many wingers when they come up against Southampton's right-back, Carl Walker-Peters. So Preston honestly looking the better side at the moment, and they are higher in the table, only 1 point and 1 place between the two in 4th and 5th respectively. But it's frustrating for Russell Martin so far, who keeps making calls from the touchline, though he's being drowned out by the atmosphere here at Deepdale. Only 3 stands open, but it's loud and it's really good. It's really strong. 24 minutes played here at Deepdale, 0-0.
Thanks very much, Reese. Sounds as though they are the home faithful trying to do their bit on a night that started with warm applause about one of their former managers, Sir Bobby Charlton, who of course passed away in the last few days, looking to honour his memory by a resounding victory against Southampton, still goalless as we speak. Last time we heard from Ethan Green at the New York Stadium, it was Rotherham 0, Coventry 0. Is that still the situation there in South Yorkshire, Ethan?
Yes, it is. Well, it is. Rotherham. It's cleared away. It's Rotherham United 0, Coventry City 0. Not much has really happened since you last came to me. However, the referee is letting a lot of things go at the moment. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Ethan. Keep going.
Yeah, the referee is letting a lot of things go. As I said earlier, Brighton loanee Ayari has been fouled a couple of times. However, the referee hasn't seen any of them as warranted fouls. So he's letting the game play on for both sides. But not much has really happened here at the moment. It's Rotherham United 0, Coventry City 0.
Thanks very much to Ethan. We'll just leapfrog over Luke John in a moment. We'll come back to Celtic Park because there's something of interest that's happened at St James's Park, James Regan.
Yeah, blow for Newcastle. Isak's just hobbled off and has been replaced by Callum Wilson. Concern there for Eddie Howe. It might not be too serious. He was able to, as I said, walk off. But yeah, Callum Wilson has come on now. 15 minutes in, still 0-0. But Daniel Malen for Borussia Dortmund's been the brightest star for them. Been really lively and he's been keeping Pope busy. But yeah, still 0-0. 15 minutes gone here.
Not the sort of news that Eddie Howe would have wanted, as you say. He has been ringing those changes between Wilson and Isak in terms of who's starting, who's been coming on this season. But with their game against Wolves away this weekend, he'll be keeping his fingers crossed, Eddie Howe, as will his coaching staff, no doubt, as will the players, no doubt, that Isak's injury is not too bad. But his game ends rather abruptly. Back to Celtic Park then. Luke John Bockel watching Celtic against Atletico Madrid. Last we heard, the boys were 1-0 up. Is that still the case?
Yeah, 16 minutes gone here. Celtic still leading Atletico Madrid 1-0. Rayo Hizate just had to come off injured. Paulo Bernardo just replaced him. And most of the time, Celtic are controlling the ball. A couple of half chances for both sides. Atletico Madrid just wasted a couple of corners. But and now Atletico Madrid just defending. But Atletico Madrid still trailing here 1-0.
Thanks very much to Luke John. So still Celtic 1, Atletico Madrid 0. Just to instantly update you on what's going on elsewhere in the Champions League tonight in games that we are not covering. There has been a goal in the game between RB Leipzig and Red Star Belgrade. RB Leipzig leading Red Star Belgrade at home by a 0-0. That goal went in 4 minutes ago. Rom scoring there for the hosts. So that's 1-0 to the home team as we speak. Other than that, and the Celtic goal, they are the only goals in the 8 o'clock kickoffs in the Champions League so far. Just to confirm some of those full times from earlier on, Barcelona beat Shakhtar Donetsk by 2-1, and Feyenoord beat Lazio by 3-1 in the 5:45 kickoffs. As I mentioned, the other ones are all 8 o'clock kickoffs. So let's put a little bit more meat on the bones then. Go back to Ethan Moss-Wills, who's watching PSG against AC Milan at the Parc des Princes.
Well, it's still PSG 0, AC Milan 0 with 17 minutes played, but we have come close. AC Milan just had a free kick, and funnily enough, Fikayo Tomori took a free kick, just 21 metres out, deflected over the wall behind for a corner, which Milan are now about to take. But it's been the Christian Pulisic show since I last spoke to you. The American's been running the show. He's been giving Lucas Hernandez a torrid timeout on that right-hand side. Ball's whipped in, and that's headed clear by Kolo Muani. PSG 0, AC Milan 0, 18 minutes played.
Thanks very much, Ethan. So, sounds as though that's an interesting match between those two. PSG obviously wanting to impress at home, but Pulisic doing the business, certainly in the last few moments for AC Milan. Be a really interesting one to keep our eyes and ears on. Let's go out to Switzerland then, to Young Boys against Manchester City. Tom Goward.
Yeah, well, the rain is really heavy here now, and the Young Boys stadium is on an artificial pitch, so the ball is being moved around. It's quite fizzing across the floor quite a lot in these wet conditions. But that doesn't seem to have put the fans off, though. Behind the Man City goal, there's flares and there's flags going off, and the jeering every time Man City have the ball is deafening, really. But it doesn't seem to be putting Man City off. We've had a few chances for City. Rodri crossed the ball, but just found no one. The keeper, Young Boys keeper, managed to handle that. And Haaland had a header, and then he put miles over the bar, managed to leap up against the two defenders and beat him to it. But nothing came of that. So we're just 19 minutes gone, still 0-0, but it's all City.
Thanks very much, Tom. Okay, so City very much in the ascendancy in that, but currently still goalless. Newcastle in the ascendancy against Dortmund, but Isak's off injured. That's goalless. Celtic in the ascendancy and leading Atletico by 1-0. So it's not looking too bad at all. 2 draws and a win so far for our 3 British sides in UEFA Champions League action tonight. Okay, back to the Championship then. Back to Preston North End, back to Deepdale. Preston hosting Southampton. Still 0-0, Reece Barrett?
Yeah, 30 minutes played at Deepdale, still 0-0 at the moment. And very cagey, although Liam Miller on the left, as I told you last time, having a lot of success at the moment. They've had to bring Will Smallbone down to help Carl Walker-Peters in the defence, and Preston really exploiting the left-hand side. It's a situation that Russell Martin's not going to be impressed with. They're still playing out from the back, but they're under a lot of pressure from Preston as soon as the goal kick's taken short. Gavin Bazunu is distributing well in his 50th Saints appearance today, but not really creating any chances like he normally does. Although it was Flynn Downs last week in a post-match interview who said it's not about creating lots of chances, it's about creating quality chances. And we'll see if Saints can do that. But right now, not too much quality on display from either side in terms of attacking chances. Half an hour played here, still 0-0.
Thanks very much, Reece. And just a quick word, Reece. How are those front 3, or the more offensive 3, if you like, in Armstrong, Adams, Inadozie, working together? Because there's been times this season where their understanding has been really, really very good. There's been other times where they don't seem to be on the same page. But how are those 3 finding things this evening?
Well, yeah, the understanding has been there, as you say. Shea Adams, who hasn't had too much of a run on their side, has picked up 2 assists this season. So he is sort of dovetailing well with Adam Armstrong. Tonight, not too much is happening. Dozie obviously called up to the under-20s World Cup, this summer for England. So he has that ability, and he's definitely direct. He's really exciting. He loves to run. He hasn't really had the ball much, though. I haven't seen Shea Adams on the ball much either. The skipper, Adam Armstrong, still the captain while Jack Stevens is injured. None of them have really had a touch. I feel like they've got to build from midfield. They're spending too much time in defence right now.
Okay, well, let's see whether or not that changes in the next few moments or so. Southampton, of course, looking to get on the front foot and hopefully get ahead in that game as soon as they possibly can. Okay, back to the other game in the Championship tonight. Rotherham against Coventry City at the New York Stadium. Ethan Green.
I will still 0-0 here between Rotherham and Coventry. I wish I could give you something more to say. However, not much has really been happening in this match. I mean, Coventry have been dominating possession. However, that possession has mainly occurred in the middle of the pitch or their own half. Probably the biggest highlight of the match is Rotherham keeper Johansson's taking his 20th goal kick of the match so far. So that's probably the only real stat to give you. But yeah, Rotherham Coventry still 0-0 here. I'm not sure where the first goal will come from, but hopefully we'll see it soon.
Indeed, you may. Well, there has been a goal, and there's been a goal in the Championship. Let's go back to Reece Barrett, because the deadlock has been broken at Deepdale, Reece.
Yeah, 33 minutes played here, and it is Southampton who have taken the lead. As I was just saying, not really any chances at all, and Bazunu picks up the ball from a Preston cross, immediately counterattacks down the right-hand side. It comes to Carl Walker-Peters, about 3 yards away from the penalty box. He drives in, scoops the ball up with his left foot, and puts it straight into the far corner. It's a brilliant finish. Honestly, it's a coup that they've even managed to keep Walker-Peters at all this season. So much interest in the summer after their relegation last season. he's one of two players, maybe him and Charlie Alcaraz, who everyone thought were destined to go to one of those big six sides. But no, they've managed to keep hold of him. They're reaping the rewards now. 33 minutes played, 1-0 Southampton.
Well, he's not known for his goal-scoring prowess, Kyle Walker-Peters, that is for sure, but a crucial goal tonight at Deepdale. In fact, that's his first league goal since August of 2022, when he scored away at Leeds United. And he's only scored one goal in each of his previous two league seasons, Kyle Walker-Peters. So this might be his one and only goal for this season. But let's hope that he can build on that, and let's hope that Southampton can build on that. Preston 0, Southampton 1 at Deepdale, 10 minutes or so until the break. Thanks very much to Reese. Let's drop down to the Southern League South Division then, to Jamie Hale, who's keeping an eye on AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town. Jamie.
35 minutes gone here, and it is still AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 1. Tottenham are knocking on the door of Didcot so far, and have been very close on a number of occasions, if not for, stonewall defending from Didcot Town. Tottenham have been the better of the sides coming for the last 20 minutes or so, and I believe it's no longer than, hopefully by half time, I believe Tottenham will get this second goal. It is looking more than likely, as the game is still happening behind me. But as it stands, 35 minutes in, AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 1.
Thanks very much, Jamie. So AFC Tottenham pushing and pressing, but still all square 10 minutes before the interval. Well, he's already seen one goal in the game between Celtic and Atletico Madrid at Celtic Park, but Luke John Buckle has seen another. Luke.
Yeah, 25 minutes gone at Celtic Park, and Atletico Madrid have equalised 1-1 here. Antoine Griezmann, he missed the initial penalty saved by Joe Hart, but the Frenchman scored the rebound. Molina was brought down by Greg Taylor, and the referee gave the penalty. The Spaniards were knocking on the door since Celtic scored, and they're good value for their goal. 25 minutes gone, 1-1.
There you go. So plenty of action, plenty of goals already. 2 in the opening 25 minutes in that game north of the border. Let's now go back to the Parc des Princes, to Ethan Moss-Wills, who's keeping an eye on PSG, AC Milan. You told us before, Ethan, that there was action, there was plenty of entertainment. Have you had any goals yet, though?
Well, 25 minutes played, still 0-0, so no goals here from me. Rafael Leao just took a shot from outside the box, which curved just wide of the post. But, I mean, you can see why AC Milan haven't conceded in the Champions League this season. They're pretty solid at the back. PSG trying as much as they can to break them down. Kylian Mbappe took a pot shot from range, but really nothing doing. But Vitinha's been on the ball a lot, moving the ball very quickly. PSG now just trying to break through the press. And it seems like the game plan now is to hit AC Milan on the counter-attack when they're less set in their positions. But 0-0, 26 minutes played. PSG looking for a winner.
Thank you very much to Ethan. Let's go back down to Group G then. Tom Goward watching Young Boys against Manchester City. No goals yet, I don't think, Tom, but some big chances.
Yes, some huge chances for City. We're just over 26 minutes gone here. And Haaland was one-on-one with the goalkeeper. It was a lovely through ball, I believe, from Kovacic. Played him through, and you'd bet your life on it that he'd score it. And I think as he's gone to take the shot, he slips. I said that the rain had come down. It's coming down still quite heavily here. I think he's just slipped, and the keeper's just managed to get a fingertip on it. But you would normally back Haaland to score them. And then 2 minutes later, Ederson plays a ball over to Haaland, who finds Grealish, who plays a lovely through ball to Doku. I said they'd be trying to get him on the ball. And he got around the defender, and he had the whole goal to shoot at, and he kicked it straight at the goalkeeper. The goal was wide open for him. He's just on the ball here now. Doku's into the penalty area, and he's not fouled. They've given a goal kick. But yeah, some big chances for City. They've had 73% possession, but I think the rain and the fans are causing them a bit of a problem here. 27 minutes gone, still 0-0.
Wow, 73% possession. That's pretty formidable, isn't it? Even for a team like Manchester City, even away from home, even in the Champions League. Those stats for the first half are pretty impressive indeed. Thank you to Tom. Let's go to James Regan then, from northern Switzerland to northeastern England. Newcastle United against Dortmund. Do the Magpies seem to be struggling at all now that Isak's off and Wilson's on, James?
Actually, yeah, Will. It's 28 minutes gone here at St James's Park. Newcastle, obviously the home side, But if you tuned in and you didn't know who was home, you would have guessed Borussia Dortmund. They're knocking it around really well, playing some nice football. Donyell Malen, who I've mentioned before, has had a few chances. Almiron had a penalty shout not long after you left me last time. Controversial. I wouldn't mind seeing that back after the game to why it wasn't given. It did look like a pen from my point of view, but the ref didn't give it. But it's still 0-0 here, 29 minutes gone at St James's Park.
Thanks to James. Sounds so Dortmund are on top. Well, we know him as Luke John Buckle, but we may as well call him Bags of Goals Buckle tonight because there's been another one at Celtic Park. Luke John.
Yeah, 29 minutes gone here and Celtic have retaken the lead at Celtic Park. Lewis Palmer with a thumping finish into the bottom left corner, and all that hard work Atletico Madrid did to get back level, it's all undone as Celtic have retaken the lead. It was a great run from Maida to stretch the Atletico Madrid defence, and Lewis Palmer took full advantage to put Brendan Rodgers' side back in front.
Fantastic stuff. Palmer to the rescue for Celtic, who lead Atletico Madrid by 2-1. Fantastic. Okay, let me update you all if you're just tuning in. Welcome along to Solent Sports News Midweek Live. We've got reporters at 7 or 8 grounds around the country tonight, and we'll also be keeping you up to date with what's going on in games in the Championship, as well as the National League South and the Southern League, as well as the UEFA Champions League. We'll go back to our reporter in the Championship, Rhys Barrett, in a moment or so, who's watching Southampton. But just elsewhere, just to update you, it's Birmingham City 0, Hull City 1. Back-to-back league goals for Liam Delap, son of former Southampton player Rory Delap, has put Hull ahead, his 4th of the season. So that's Birmingham City 0, Hull City 1. Bristol City 0, Ipswich 1, 6th goal of the season for Nathan Broadhead. Did wonders on international duty with Wales in the last week or so, and he's done it again tonight. He's given his side, the Tractor Boys, the lead as they approach half-time. Plymouth have just taken the lead in their game against Sheffield Wednesday. It was 0-0, but Bundo has just fired the Pilgrims ahead as they enter injury time at the end of that first half. So it's Plymouth 1, struggling Sheffield Wednesday 0. It's in an 8 o'clock kickoff, still goalless between Stoke and Leeds United. In the National League South, incidentally, Havant and Waterlooville did take the lead in their game after only 8 minutes, but they've been pegged back. Aveley now lead by 2-1 in that particular match. Just read you about Plymouth's goal, incidentally. The goal from Bundo is first for the club. He's a Sierra Leone international and his first goal since moving to this country. So that's a nice little moment for him. Okay, back to the Championship then. Back to Deepdale. Preston against Southampton. Saints did take the lead. A rarity from Kyle Walker-Peters. How have they been since then, Rhys Barrett?
41 minutes played here at Deepdale. Southampton in complete control until a free kick was given away on the left-hand wing, Preston's left, sorry. It was whipped in and then it was cleared again and taken a shot from Lindsay on the edge of the box. His shot actually ended up landing at the feet of the Preston striker Brown. He's had a shot from literally the penalty spot, maybe even inside the 6-yard box. It's taken a deflection off of Shea Charles's back foot, and Gavin Bazunu has made a fantastic save with his right hand. No idea how he's kept that out, but he's managed to get across the face of goal and somehow palm it away. Moments later, as well as it was getting cleared, it was Shea Adams who was really harshly fouled by Whiteman himself, who picked up his first yellow card of the season. It's getting a little bit tasty here. Preston, they're the first sort of chance they've had since going down a goal, and it almost ended up being their equaliser, but a brilliant save for Bazunu to keep Southampton in the lead here.
Southampton still leading by a 1-0 4 minutes before the break then. Thank you very much to Rhys. Let's go from the Championship to the Champions League, because the deadlock has been broken at the Parc des Princes between PSG and AC Milan. Which way has it gone? Ethan Moss-Wills.
Well, it's 1-0 PSG, 32 minutes played. And who else was it going to be? Kylian Mbappe with the goal. Zaire Emery, the 17-year-old, does brilliantly in midfield to shrug off the challenge from Reyners, takes it through, driving into that midfield. Mbappe hits a couple of step-overs against Tomori, cuts in just outside the box, and hammers one hard and low into the bottom left-hand corner. 1-0 PSG. And I think there'll be more to come. PSG looking relentless right now. 33 minutes played, PSG 1, AC Milan 0.
Kylian Mbappe, eh? A name we must remember. I'm sure he'll have a bright future. Thank you very much there to Ethan. Let's go back to the Championship then. Half-time approaching, or might even be half-time in the game between Rotherham and Coventry City at the New York Stadium. Ethan Green.
Yes, Will, 45 minutes is up here. Rotherham United 0, Coventry City 0. Not much really happened in this first half. The best chance of the game probably fell to Rotherham, but Onyema Didima. He had a header in the 6-yard box, which just went wide of the post. Coventry have actually drawn the most games in the Championship this season with 6, and you can see why after this first half performance. They've been defending well, and both teams have been defending well, really, and limiting each team to minimal opportunities in the final third of the pitch. So here, 45 minutes done here. Rotherham United 0, Coventry City 0.
Thank you very much to Ethan. He can take a breather for a moment or so whilst the teams have their half-time break as well. Very quickly back to Rhys Barrett at Deepdale. Big shout for a handball. Was it given? What's been going on, Rhys?
It was not. 44 minutes played here, very close to half-time. I want to take you back to that Bazunu save I was talking about. The replays show that while he did get a hand to it and palm it away, it smashed straight into the right hand of Shea Charles. I think with VAR in the Championship, that's a blatant penalty. Southampton are really, really lucky to get away with that. And as soon as the ball goes out for another corner, which was cleared by Charles afterwards, you can see at least 6 Preston players swarming the referee in the replays that they're showing here. Blatant handball, but Southampton have got away with it. 45 minutes played, 3 minutes of extra time to come until half-time, 1-0 to Southampton.
Thanks very much, Rhys. You see, there are benefits to playing in the Championship. There are benefits to being relegated from the Premier League. None of this TV nonsense. What happens, happens, and no one can pull you up on it. There you are. That is the one benefit. That's probably the one and only. But there we go. Okay, some big action. Almost a goal in the game between Young Boys and Manchester City. Tom Goward.
Yeah, City are pressing for a goal with 35 minutes gone here. I can't see City not scoring in this game. Haaland had a chance. It was a cross from Grealish again. I said the first 20 minutes they were going down the right-hand side using Doku, but now they seem to be using left and Grealish. He crossed it in, and Haaland kind of threw himself at the ball, and I think it came off his shin or his knee, and he kind of just went straight to the keeper, and he just shook his head in disbelief. And then big goal line clearance from Young Boys. Shot came in, the keeper went to catch it, but the ball's so wet, he kind of slipped out of his hands. It fell to Rodri. Rodri stuck a foot at it, but it was cleared away from Benito. And Young Boys look in this, but I think City will win it. 35 minutes gone, still 0-0.
Thank you very much to Tom. So deadlock not broken, but very nearly broken in that game down there in Switzerland. There's been a goal, incidentally, in the Championship, not one of the games that we're covering, but I'll update you nonetheless. Morgan Whittaker has scored a second for Plymouth, his 5th league goal of the season, all at home park. So Plymouth 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0. That is now a half-time score. More on the half-times in a moment or so. Talking of half-times, let's catch up with Jamie Hell, our reporter at AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town in the Southern League South Division. Jamie.
I mean, if you couldn't already tell from the music behind me, we are now at half-time. After the 2nd minute, worldie from Tadozi and the 21st minute equaliser from Putnam, we haven't had too many more chances to report on. So unfortunately, it's been a quiet night from me. But looking forward to the second half, Tottenham did end the better of the first as well. So we are looking forward to hopefully trying to push on the attack even more and go for a killer blow. So half time here, AFC Tottenham 1, Didcot Town 1.
Thank you very much there to Jamie. Half time in the Southern League South Division. He's there at the Snow Stadium, currently 1-1 between AFC Tottenham and Didcot Town. Okay, let's go back to the Champions League because the Championship games are now in half time. That is with the exception of the game between Stoke and Leeds. We'll be catching up with Rhys Barrett in fact, let's catch up with Rhys now before we go to the Champions League. Then we can give him an opportunity to have a little bit of a breather. It is now half time. Rhys, and how would you summarise the first 45?
Yeah, I'd say KG. It's a word I've used a lot in my updates, but one that's definitely been almost a chess match between two managers trying to feel each other out. Preston's so good defensively at home, and you can tell why. Their atmosphere is so good. Like I said before, only 3 stands open, but it's loud. The atmosphere is starting to turn on the referee. We saw, I think it was Jan Bednarek booked for an off-the-ball incident that honestly, I have no idea what happened with it, but it was his 4th yellow card of the season. The referee stopped play, ran back to book him. I don't really know why, but a lot of the players bewildered by the decisions as well. Russell Martin running out of his chair at one point due to a foul going against Southampton. The atmosphere is starting to sour a bit, and I think it's going to be a little bit more violent in the second half, but there's only been 5 shots on target throughout the entire game. It's been very much battled in the midfield, very cagey, and I think Russell Martin's got a lot to do to try and get a second here.
Thanks very much, Reece. So Saints with the advantage at half-time, but they're certainly not going to lie down, are they, Preston? After drawing the opening goal of the season, they then went on a run, of course, Preston, 7 straight league victories, which was, 6 straight league victories and 1 draw, almost unprecedented in their time in recent history. But then they've struggled a little bit since then. In fact, they haven't won since the middle of September, since that 2-1 win against Birmingham. They've gone 5 without a win. That's 3 defeats as well, conceding 4 on 2 occasions. So Preston certainly haven't had it all their own way in the last few weeks or so. It's been very much a season of 2 halves. The wins, the fantastic scores, the good run, and now the slightly stale run as well. And they trail Saints by 1-0 at Deepdale so far. Okay, back to the Champions League then. All 8 o'clock kickoff. So into the last sort of 5 or 6 minutes. Back to Celtic Park. Celtic against Atletico Madrid. Remind us of what you've seen so far, Luke John Buckle.
Yeah, 40 minutes gone at Celtic Park. Celtic lead Atletico Madrid 2-1. It's been a bit of a great performance from Celtic so far, but Atletico Madrid just starting to get a bit more control of the ball. And they've just had a goal ruled out. Axel Witsel, a header into the back of the net, ruled out for a very close offside call. Rodrigo de Paul was brought down by Maida. That was why the free kick was given. But 5 minutes to go until half-time and Celtic lead 2-1.
Thanks very much to Luke John. Back to Ethan then at the Parc des Princes, watching PSG against AC Milan. Some young guy called Mbappe scored a short time ago. Has that put a boost in the PSG side at all, Ethan?
Sadly not. It's still 1-0 PSG with 40 minutes played. Marquinhos has just taken one in the crown jewels, which he doesn't seem too happy about. He's down injured now, but he'll be getting up. He'll be fine with that. Mbappe does seem to have his swagger, though. Every time he's getting the ball, he's driving at Pierre Kalulu, taking him on, step overs galore, spins and tricks. Seems like Raphael's taken a leaf out of his book, just spinning past Zaire Emery, who's been consistently impressive throughout the game. And that was a mistake from Matthias Thor, and it's out for a PSG corner. PSG do look like they're trying to keep the game under control, keep Milan penned in. But 41 minutes played, PSG 1, AC Milan 0.
Thank you to Ethan. Love a little bit of Mbappe swagger, that is for sure. It's always a good sight seeing him in full flow and scoring goals as well. Certainly from a purely objective point of view, he's a joy to watch. Okay, back to St James's Park, where Newcastle have been, they've been hamstrung a little bit by an injury to Isak tonight already, and Callum Wilson has come off the bench. But it's not only Newcastle, James Regan, who have had their injury problems. Dortmund had some as well.
No, this will be a big blow for Borussia Dortmund. Emre Can's just been forced off, their captain. He's given the armband to Kobel. He originally tried to carry on. He briefly went off for a couple of minutes, coming back on, but he was in just too much discomfort. Özcan has replaced him. He started the last Champions League game against Inter Milan. So they know they've got a good replacement to come on. But yeah, club captain Emre Can has been forced off. So already 2 substitutions used by both managers, perhaps unwantingly. Still 0-0 here at St James's Park. Just gone 43 minutes.
Okay, maybe a goal before half-time, maybe not. It certainly looks as though it's heading, with those changes, enforced changes, slightly disrupting both teams, as though it might be a goalless first half. More on that in due course. Let's round up our reports then in the Champions League. Over to Tom, watching young boys against Manchester City. You told us a short while ago, Tom, that City were going through the gears, were dominating possession, looked as though they were going to score, had the ball cleared off the line. Have they been able to force it over the line?
Well, no, since you last came to me, Will, with 43 minutes gone, it's the young boys have had the two better chances. City haven't really had the chance. This game could go either way. I don't know. I still think City, but young boys are hanging on in there. City were just passing around in the middle, and Itan, the number 9, won the ball from the halfway line, drove with it, did all the hard work, and just had to shoot with his left foot, and he just scuffed a shot straight into Ederson's hands. That was probably their best chance. They had a corner a few minutes later. It was a training ground kind of technique corner. It went short, and the player crossed it in, headed over, just over Ederson's bar. He had it covered though, but they've had the best chances. City is still popping it around. Doku's been bright. I think he's just switched with Grealish. Doku's now gone on the left, and Grealish just come out on the right. But this game could go either way. But with 43 minutes gone, and still 0-0 here in Switzerland.
Thanks very much, Tom. So 0-0 in that game, 0-0 between Newcastle and Dortmund. PSG leading by a goal to 0, and all the goals so far tonight at Celtic Park. Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 1 so far, as all those games approach half time. Welcome along to Solent Sports News Midweek Live. Welcome along. We are covering 7 or 8 games around the country and indeed around European competition. So as and when the goals go in, we will let you know. But just to update you with a few half times in the Championship, these are all half times. These are 7:45 kickoffs. Birmingham 0, Hull 1. Liam Delap, the son of former Saints player Rory Delap, the goal scorer in the first 8 or 9 minutes, has given them a half-time lead. In fact, let me cut off that because there's been a goal in the Champions League. It's a big goal. It's gone in at St James's Park. Which way has it gone, James Regan?
It's gone to the visitors, Dortmund, and you probably would have guessed that by the way I've been describing their play. It came from the left-hand side. Schlotterbeck, defender, made a darting run forward on the overlap. Marco Reus just slipped it into him. He cut it back to the Mecha, and it was a really good finish just inside the box. It gives Borussia Dortmund the lead, a much-needed win here. If results go their way, they could still be top of the group by tonight, but with PSG winning, they won't be. But this boosts their hope into qualification. 0-1 here at St James's Park. Half-time will be any minute now.
Thanks very much to James. So as things stand, with PSG leading, they would be, if all results ended like this, PSG would be top of their group with 6 points. Dortmund and Newcastle would be second and third respectively with 4 points, and AC Milan would be bottom with 2 points, but still very much all to play for after only 3 games. Really just that victory between sort of third Newcastle and top space. So plenty of interesting matches ahead in that particular group. But as it stands, Newcastle 0, Dortmund 1, a little bit of a team talk perhaps needed by Eddie Howe in the dressing room at St James's Park as they approach half time. I believe it is half time in the game between Young Boys and Manchester City. Tom Goward.
Yeah, sorry, Will. Yeah, so it's just happened half time now, and there was no Rashappi made a big save there just before the halftime whistle went. A corner came in from City. Rodgers found himself free in the middle of the box and kicked it straight at the keeper. The keeper's kept him in this game, I think, for Young Boys. I think City might be struggling with the wet conditions and the artificial pitch. But if the players on the City pitch can't get it done, they still have the likes of Silva, Foden and Alvarez to come off the bench. Alvarez is City's top scorer in the Champions League this season with 3 goals in 2 games. So there's always that quality to come off a bench. But Young Boys have kept themselves in it. I think the fans have kept them in it as well. So we could see a good game in the second half, but still 0-0 here, half-time.
Thanks very much to Tom. It's also half-time at the Parc des Princes as well. PSG entertaining AC Milan. We have had goals. We have had goal-mouth action. How would you summarise the first 45, Ethan Moss-Wills?
Well, it's half-time here at the Parc des Princes. It's been a game of... It's hard to describe. It's there's been chances, but all the time the ball's just been in the midfield, kind of pinging about. I tell you what, a man that won't have been happy to see Dortmund take the lead will be Stefano Pioli, with his side vying for that second spot. Obviously, reaching the Champions League semi-finals last season, he'll be wanting to go possibly one step further this time. But that result, I think, currently puts AC Milan dead last in the group, still yet to score a goal. And other than moments from Rafael Leao and Christian Pulisic, it doesn't look like that's going to change. He's going to need to rally the troops at halftime and maybe take off standing left back Malik Thor, who's having a tough time dealing with Ousmane Dembele and finds himself on a booking. 1 of 4 in the game so far. Halftime, PSG 1, AC Milan 0.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Yes, it does indeed put AC Milan, as things stand, bottom of the group, yet to get a win. 2 draws from their opening 2 games, losing this one to PSG at half-time, who have already won 1 and lost 1 in their first 2 group matches. It's only Newcastle who are currently unbeaten, albeit they are, not unbeaten, but AC Milan unbeaten as well. But Newcastle are the only team with a win who are unbeaten, but they are, of course, losing tonight at home to Dortmund. So plenty, no doubt, of action still to come in that second half. Let's quickly nip back to Luke John Bockel at Celtic Park. Yeah, still playing added time, I believe, at the end of the first half, but Celtic still looking good for that 2-1 lead, Luke John.
Yeah, just on the verge of half-time here. Celtic still leading 2-1. It's died down a bit since I last spoke to you, but Celtic still good value for their 2-1 lead. And just seconds away from half-time, and Celtic lead 2-1.
Thanks very much there to Luke John. So seconds away from half-time at Celtic Park. Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 1 is half-time between PSG and AC Milan, the French team leading by a 0-0. Dortmund against Newcastle United at St James's Park. That's also half-time now, confirmed. Newcastle 0, Dortmund 1, and Young Boys 0, Manchester City 0. In fact, let's go to James Regan. We haven't checked in with him since the half-time whistle went. How was that half-time whistle greeted by the fans up there in the northeast, James?
Well, the fans weren't happy, but actually it's Borussia Dortmund players that were absolutely fuming at the referee. They had a through ball just as the referee blew up for half-time. Yellow players surrounding the referee at the end. They were absolutely not having it. They feel like they had a beautiful chance to go in on goal and score. So very controversial there. Newcastle do get away with that, as they go into the second half a goal down, but maybe they'll take that, considering Borussia Dortmund should have had a huge chance that the referee blew up too early, perhaps. Interesting,
very interesting. They don't tend to do that, do they, referees these days? They tend to wait until the ball is in the centre field area, so as not to incur the wrath of the players. But quite a controversial move there by the referee in that game. But 0-1 at St James's Park. Okay, all those games in the Champions League now in half-time. Just to round up the other half-time scores in the games that we are not focusing on, Antwerp are beating FC Porto by a 0-0. That was a goal scored in the first half by Youssef on 37 minutes. So they Antwerp lead the Portuguese side, Porto, by a 0-0. And RB Leipzig also, Raum scoring for them on 12 minutes, leading Red Star Belgrade by a 0-0. So it's Antwerp 1, Porto 0, Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 1, Newcastle 0, Dortmund 1, as we're hearing from James, Paris Saint-Germain 1, AC Milan 0, RB Leipzig 1, Red Star Belgrade 0, and as we're hearing from Tom, Young Boys 0, Manchester City 0, down there in Group G. The 2 full times from the Champions League earlier on, in case you missed it, Barcelona beat Shakhtar Donetsk by 3-1, and Feyenoord also beat Lazio by 3-1 in those early kickoffs. Okay, back to the Championship now then. The teams have come out for the second half. We're up and running, or should be up and running. I'm sure we are. Let's go back to Deepdale. Rhys Barrett watching Preston against Southampton. Rhys.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, the team's just coming out now. We haven't quite got back underway here. But looking back at that first half, I did see at half-time, Southampton had 71% of possession. It didn't feel like they had that much, but I think because they dominated so much after going a goal up through Kyle Walker-Peters, I think they just took the game by the horns at that point, and Preston didn't really have a kick in. It's still all to play for, though. Like I said at the beginning, Southampton have scored so many late goals this season, three match winners after the 85th minute. So there's always time for one more when it comes to Southampton. But similarly, Preston, so good defensively. I feel like they can catch Saints on the counter-attack here. Probably about a minute or so away from getting underway here for the second half, though.
Thanks very much, Reese. Okay, in which case, let's head off to Ethan Green, who's keeping an eye on Rotherham against Coventry City, possibly a few minutes ahead in that particular game at the New York Stadium. It was 0-0 at half time. Any early action in this second half, Ethan?
Well, as you just come to, Rotherham have taken the lead. They've scored from a corner. Their defender, Peltier, has headed home. Rotherham started this half very well. They've defended two Coventry corners exceptionally well and had two of their own, and they've just taken the lead. The corner came in front post and was just flicked past everyone by Peltier, who's having his first goal of the season. Rotherham probably, against the run of play, you could say, have started great this second half, and yeah, they've taken the lead here as they look to climb up the table. So it's just come to me, Rotherham United 1, Coventry City 0, 52 minutes played here.
Fantastic timing. Thanks very much there to Ethan. So Rotherham taking the lead. Peltier, as he says, 6 minutes into the second half. And that was very much a needed goal as far as Rotherham are concerned, because they had been struggling in the bottom three without a win in any of their last five. But this victory wouldn't take them out of the bottom three, but it would take them and move them ever closer, of course, to Huddersfield, who are a place above them. They have played a game more as well. That Lee Peltier goal, by the way, he scored 2 league goals in his last 5 league appearances. His best scoring league season since the 2011-2012 season when he played with Leicester, when he also scored 2 league goals. So he's on a par, one more, and it would be a best ever league scoring season for Lee Peltier. So good on him, and good on Rotherham for taking the lead against Coventry City. Elsewhere in the Championship, incidentally, 5 or 6 minutes gone in all these games in the second half. Birmingham 0, Hull City 1. Liam Delap scoring that goal in the first half, the difference between the two teams. Well, let me cut off, in fact, because there's a goal down in the Southern League South Division. AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town at the Snow Stadium. It was 1-1. Which side have scored the latest goal, Jamie Hale?
Well, 52 minutes in, and behind me, unfortunately, you've just missed Scott Rendell scoring a penalty kick. FC Tottenham 2, Didcot Town 1. The move before the penalty was awarded was beautiful from Alfie Stanley down on that right side. He flicks past the defender on the sliding surfaces. The player falls to the floor. He's lunged out with one leg and taken out Alfie Stanley in the making. The penalty had a lot of pressure. It almost felt like I was in a cemetery at the point when the kick was taken. But to the roar and the applaud of the home fans, it'd be sign enough that Scott Rendell converted another penalty. So, 51 minutes in here, the Stags leading 2-1 against Didcot Town.
Thank you very much, Jamie. So Rendell and Chendozi, the scorers for AFC Tottenham tonight, who lead Didcot Town by 2-1, as Jamie was saying, 6 or 7 minutes gone in that second half. Okay, let's go. What was I saying? I was saying about the get scores in the Championship. So Birmingham 0, Hull City 1. That's still the latest. 6 minutes gone in the second half. Bristol City 0, Ipswich 1. That was as you were at half time. Still 8 minutes gone in the second half. Plymouth beating Sheffield Wednesday by 2-0. Incidentally, I mentioned, didn't I, that those 2 goals were late in that first half. But Sheffield Wednesday have only scored more than 1 goal in a game once this season. So the fact that they need to score twice to get anything out of this game, pretty much, if I was a betting man, and I'm not, but pretty much rules Sheffield Wednesday out statistically of getting anything from that game. Preston 0, Southampton 1, as we heard from Reese. They're 5 minutes into the second half now. Rotherham, as we were hearing from Ethan, are leading Coventry by 1-0, but there may have been another big chance. Has there? Ethan Green. No, can't get hold of Ethan at the moment. Let's see whether or not we can get hold of him in a moment or so. As we were mentioning, 2-1 to AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town in the Southern League South Division. In fact, looks as though there's been another goal, has there? Yes, there has. Jamie Hale.
Well, just as quick as you can get rid of me, it's as quick as I can return. We're now 55 minutes in. AFC Tottenham 3, Didcot Town 1. This first half was incredibly boring compared to what was just happening in the first 10 minutes of the second. Scott Rendell getting a brace for himself now, and it was after a beautiful play where he found himself in about 6 or 7 yards worth of space around from the on-rushing defenders. But the composed sunburnt assassin himself coolly converted it into the bottom right corner. So, Scott Rendell on a brace. Well, on for a hat trick. AFC Tottenham 3, Didcot Town 1, 55 minutes in.
Thank you very much, Jamie. So, AFC Tottenham having it very much their own way tonight, leading by 3-1. As I was saying, back in the Championship, Rotherham beating Coventry by 1-0, and in an 8 o'clock kickoff, it is half-time. Stoke 0, Leeds United 0. Elsewhere, as far as games that we're interested in around here, National League South, Havant and Waterlooville are trailing currently by 2-1 at home to Aveley. All right, let's go. Because the Champions League games are still in half-time, let's go back to the top of the pile, if you like, back to Deepdale. Preston against Southampton. What is that now? 6 or 7 minutes into the second half. How are things going, Rhys Barrett?
Thank you, Will. Yeah, 50 minutes played here at Deepdale, 5 minutes into the second half. There were actually 2 changes at half-time. Sekou Mara came on for Southampton. I believe it was Shea Adams who came off. He's not looked good again today. And since the transfer saga in the summer where Wolves wanted to have him, he hasn't really picked up form. And especially since Southampton signed Sunderland striker Ross Stewart, when Ross Stewart is back up to fitness, I think Shea Adams might find it hard to get a game in. Similarly, though, Preston made a change. It was Fourier off for Osmajic, so an attacking substitution. And he's already had a little bit of a scrap with Kyle Walker-Peters. They were pushing each other. Mason Holgate got involved, and then there was a little brawl that the referee had to stop. But Jeremy Simpson, the referee, having a good game so far and keeping things under control. Southampton starting to struggle in the second half, though. Just as I say that, it's a goal for Preston as well from the edge of the box. It's a half volley there. I believe it was the substitute. It was Osmajic, who's just taken it on his right foot. As the ball drops maybe 3 yards away from the penalty box, he's managed to smash it in first time. Quite a lucky bounce, to be honest, for it to nestle at his foot, but he's taken maybe 3 touches this game since coming on, and he's just scored there. It ties it up. 52 minutes played. Preston 1, Southampton 1.
They are goals as they go in here on Solent Sports News Midweek Live. Preston 1, Southampton 1, as Rhys was explaining there. Osmajic scoring for the Montenegrin, scoring for Preston North End. His first goal since scoring for Montenegro against Lebanon, actually, in the international break, 10 days or so, 2 weeks or so ago. Second of the season, both at home, scoring after coming on as a half-time substitute. So that's a good fillip for him, and it's exactly the sort of goal that they would have wanted, the Deepdale faithful, early in that second half. The only other goal he scored was in the last quarter of an hour in a 2-1 win for Preston against Birmingham. So his goals have been decisive and they've been important. And so far this season, he's having a pretty decent one in terms of goals return for points. So 1-1 in that game at Deepdale. Let's go back to Ethan Green then. We tried to catch up with him a moment or so ago. We lost connection temporarily, but Rotherham against Coventry at the New York Stadium. Ethan Green.
Yes, well, Coventry almost got the equaliser a couple minutes after Rotherham took the lead. Still 1-0 Rotherham here. Ellis Sims had a strong header from inside of from around the penalty area. It got saved, and his attempt to get the rebound ended up going side netting. That's the closest Coventry have come all game. Still 1-0 Rotherham here with half an hour to go.
Thanks very much there to Ethan. Of course, the Coventry manager, Mark Robins, is an ex-Rotherham player, isn't he? Scored 44 league goals in 128 league appearances when he was a manager. When he was a player still. Also managed the club as well between 2007 and 2009. So he has deep ties, Coventry's Mark Robins. But at the moment, his side are trailing by that solitary goal to 0. Let's go back to Deepdale, because last we heard Preston were turning the screw. Have they turned it even more, Rhys Barrett? Oh, we just lost connection with Rhys for a moment or so. We'll go back to him in 2 ticks. Let's go back to Jamie Hale then, watching AFC Tottenham against Didcot Town before we start looking at what's going on in the Champions League in the second half. AFC Tottenham must be loving life at the moment, Jamie.
Well, there's actually been several fans which have just walked past with pasties and coffees in hand, and I'm pretty sure they have missed both goals. Unfortunate for them, but fortunate for myself. The players are actually down on the right side now with Alfie Stanley, looking to try and build on what they've done. They have made Tottenham have made their final substitute, bringing on Ramus Nixon for Jordan Chidozie, the goal scorer. So the only one on the pitch left with, well, anything to prove to get a hat-trick is Scott Rendell. But Didcot Town have struggled since. They haven't looked like they've really been able to respond. And Tottenham really are just looking like they are going to win over this game once, well, like it was almost predicted. So, about 65 minutes in now. I haven't even checked my clock, I'm sorry. But AFC Tottenham 3, Didcot Town 1.
Thank you very much to Jamie. So let's go back to Rhys then at Deepdale. Preston scored a few moments or so ago. It looks as though they're turning the screw even more, Rhys Barrett.
Yeah, and it's 55 minutes played, and Preston have scored a second here. They've completely flipped this game on its head. It's number 44, Liam Potts, who's managed to score it. He's beaten Samuel Edozie so easily on the right-hand side. He's tapped the ball past him and cut it across the face of goal into the far corner. Gavin Bazunu, nowhere near it, to be honest, goes way too low with his save. And Potts knee-siding right in front of the Deepdale faithful. They have been chanting all game, and now they finally got something to celebrate. It's been brilliant from Preston in this second half, keeping Southampton under pressure. Russell Martin is furious, to say the least. He looks absolutely irate on the sideline. And there's not a lot that his side have been able to do since taking off Shea Adams as well. They've got no one to pass it to. They just can't get out. It's a double substitution being prepared for them. They're going to need a lot to recover this game. 56 minutes played, Preston 2, Southampton 1.
Goals going in all around the country. Thank you very much to Rhys. That's Potts' first goal of the season, incidentally. 3 minutes after Osmajic's goal. His last 4, incidentally, Potts' goals have come at Deepdale, but it's his first since April. So that could be a significant one for them. Okay, let's go off to the Champions League. The games have started and goals are flying in all over the place. Let's go to Tom Goward first of all. Manchester City had loads of possession in the first half against Young Boys. Have they turned that possession early in the second half into goals, Tom?
Yes, well, we finally have a goal for City. 48 minutes gone, and it's gone for a goal for City from Akanji. I was just looking at half-time. They had 6 shots on target in the first half, City, but didn't convert them into a goal. But finally they had 2 early corners from the second half. The second corner came out, played short. Rodri crossed it in the box. Diaz headed it. Rasponi palmed it onto the bar, and it fell to Akanji, who was just free from about 2 yards out and tapped it into the empty net. I think Young Boys will feel a bit hard done by there, the bar causing them problems. But it's not over. Like I say, we're only 49 minutes gone. There's still a long way to go, but City now in control of the game. 1-0 City, 49 minutes gone.
Thank you very much to Tom. Well, it's been an interesting and eventful and perhaps slightly dubious start to the second half at the Parc des Princes as well, Ethan Moss-Wills. Ball's been in the back of the net. Has it stayed or has it been ruled out? Tell us more.
Well, Will, we're not quite sure yet. 49 minutes in, and it might be PSG 2, AC Milan 0, and the ref has just disallowed the goal. The ball came on the halfway line. Manuel Ugarte charged him with the challenge, which the ref deemed okay at the time, but then later has just gone back to the monitor and disallowed it. It's a heartbreaking moment for Ousmane Dembele, who thought he had his first Paris Saint-Germain goal. It was a brilliant finish. He took it and curled it into that far left corner of Mike Maignan. But for me, I think it is just about a foul. Pretty close one. But only moments before that, we had a ball cleared off the line by Marquinhos. Giroud headed it over Donnarumma. It's all kicking off here in this second half. It's gone completely crazy. Who knows what's going to happen next? PSG 1, AC Milan 0. AC Milan have a chance. And Giroud's hit the side netting as a ball pulled across box by Christian Pulisic. Sorry, I'll leave you now. 50 minutes played. PSG 1, AC Milan 0.
No, don't leave us. You talk us through all the action as it's happening, Ethan. That's exactly what we want it for. So still 1-0, could have been 2-0, then could almost have been 1-1 as well. So certainly a game to keep our eyes on. Very much still in the balance there in the French capital. Okay, we've heard from Tom watching Man City. We've heard from Ethan watching PSG and AC Milan. Let's go to James Regan watching Newcastle against Dortmund. A little bit behind, a few minutes behind the other games at St James's Park, but you're up and running in the second half, James.
Yeah, 48 minutes gone here, Will. No real chances yet in the second half, but it's absolutely raining cats and dogs here on Tyneside. Really wet conditions, making for slippery balls, mistakes. So who knows what can happen here? But no chances in the second half as of yet. Just over 49 minutes gone, 0-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, James. Yes, early stages of the second half, 0-1. That goal just before half-time to Dortmund, the difference between the two teams. Okay. Back to Luke John Buckle then at Celtic Park, north of the border. He had loads of chances, loads of goals, plenty of action in the first half. How's the second half started, Luke John?
49 minutes gone here and Celtic still holding their slim 2-1 advantage over Atletico Madrid. Bit of frustration creeping in for Diego Simeone. He made a couple of substitutions at half-time. Javi Galán was substituted. He's on a booking. He's been taken off with Llorente replacing him. And Riquelme on for Saul in a double substitution for the Spaniards, but still Celtic leading 2-1 here, 50 minutes gone.
Thank you very much there to Luke. John, let's go back to Switzerland because Tom Goward was telling us about a goal for Manchester City. There's been a second goal in that game. Which way has it gone this time, Tom?
Yes, well, young boys have equalised a couple of minutes after Man City taking the lead. They were just showing a replay of Haaland's shot saved by Rasponi. And as it cut away, it fell to Elliott, who was one-on-one with Ederson. Ederson was right on the edge of his box. It was a lovely through ball. Didn't quite catch from who the through ball was from, but he broke the defence. It was just Ake. He beat Ake for pace, one-on-one with Ederson, and he's dinked it lovely chip straight over Ederson, and it's just floated into the back of the goal. 52 minutes gone, 1-1 here in Switzerland.
Thanks very much, Tom. Yeah, lovely goal. Well worth watching later on if you can. Young Boys 1, Manchester City 1. There's been another goal. We talked about a goal, didn't we, that was then ruled out. This one looks as though it has stuck Ethan Moss-Wills between PSG and AC Milan. Who scored it? Which way has it gone?
Well, it's PSG 2, AC Milan 0, and I don't think this one will be getting ruled out. It's a bit of trickery from a corner, taken short to Ousmane Dembele, plays it around, gets in the box, takes the shot on, parried by Mike Maignan, straight out to Randall Kolo Muani, who slots it home no problem. There was also a change at halftime that I previously hadn't mentioned. Matthias Thor, who I said was having a tricky game up against Ousmane Dembele, was taken off and replaced by Davide Calabria, who then took the armband. But PSG look like they might be running riot here in Paris. It's all going on. And Stefano Pioli is absolutely furious with his players because the defending for that goal was substandard. PSG 2, AC Milan 0, 53 minutes played. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come.
I'm sure there will. If there's anything to go by the beginning part of the second half, I don't think we'll be too long between going back to you, Ethan. So PSG 2, AC Milan in the French capital. Just to reiterate, Young Boys 1, Manchester City 1. Those goals both going on early stages of the second half. Newcastle still trailing Dortmund by 1-0, and Celtic currently still leading Atletico Madrid 2-1 at Celtic Park, which was, of course, the score at half-time. Let's go back to the Championship. It seems like an eternity, doesn't it, since we checked in with our reporters in the Championship. That flurry of activity in the Champions League, goals going in, chances, VAR decisions, etc. Perhaps a little bit more sedate, a little bit more simple in the Championship. But again, the second half has been plenty of action and plenty of goals and plenty of entertainment, Rhys Barrett, between Preston and Southampton, rather.
Yeah, 63 minutes played here at Deepdale. Preston scored that nice little double within 3 minutes, as you said earlier on. Southampton have actually conceded 6 goals in the first 15 minutes of the second half so far this season, by far the highest in the competition. So not sure what's happening there. I mean, they made 5 changes before the match. You'd expect them to maybe start the first half a little slow. I don't know why they've come out so poor in the second half. Since going down and conceding that second goal, though, they made a double change. It was Smallbone who was on his final warning, despite being booked in the 10th minute. Lucky to be on the pitch, perhaps, but he was taken off. And Will, we talked about that front three in the first half and whether or not they had attacking intent. Well, 2 of them have been subbed off because Adozi has also gone off now. Sulemana and Stuart Armstrong subbed on. Yeah, they've been a bit better since that double change, but honestly, Southampton's still on the back foot here. They're starting to regain a bit of possession, but they need to actually start making some chances now. They've dropped down to 9th if they don't get a point in this game, which is still only 1 point away from the playoff spaces, but still it's so tight at the top that if they could get themselves up to 23 points, they'd be happily in 5th place. So 64 minutes gone, Preston 2, Southampton 1.
Yes, time indeed for Russell Martin's team to turn it around, if indeed they can. But as we mentioned, they do have a habit of scoring late goals, so watch this space. We'll come back to Ethan in a moment or so, but there's been a big chance in the game between AFC Tottenham and Didcot Town at Snow Stadium, Jamie Hale.
Yeah, corner got 70 minutes in. Sorry, I was a little bit ahead of myself. 70 minutes in, still AFC Tottenham 3 and Didcot Town 1. But a corner came in from Tottenham's side, and Jordan Regay found himself in heaps of space at the back post. I mean, allowing himself to get forward into the box isn't usual from Tottenham at all, as we've seen him stay at the back all the time. But if he's creating a chance like that where the goal is open and he's had the volley at net, he should be scoring. And unfortunately for him, his name isn't on the score sheet. But Tottenham now finding their groove a little bit more. They're being comfortable on the ball and aren't really able to answer any of their anything which has come their way. The ball is just in the middle of the park, and the game seems like it is now just going to smoothen out ever since. But 70 minutes in, FC Tottenham 3, Didcot Town 1.
They'll be happy with it at the moment, I'm sure. Thank you very much to Jamie. Back to the Champions League. Celtic seemed as though they're having it all their own way. Maybe not so the case, Luke John Bockel.
Yeah, 54 minutes gone here at Celtic Park, and Atletico Madrid have worked their way back into the game. It was a bit of a sedate start to the first half, but Simeone's side, great work from Marcus Llorente down the right-hand side, whipped the ball into the back post, and Alvaro Morata was there to put it past Joe Hart in the Celtic goal. Simeone, as usual, very animated on the touchline, but Morata's 3rd goal in 3 matches in the Champions League this season. It's 55 minutes gone, 2-2.
Thanks very much to Luke. John, hadn't forgotten about Ethan Green at the New York Stadium, but there's been a big chance for Mbappe in the game between PSG and AC Milan, Ethan Moss-Wills.
Well, it's still 2-0 PSG with 56 minutes played, but the tempo of this game since half-time has just gone up a notch. PSG playing AC Milan off the park right now, pinging the ball about, doesn't seem like they can do anything wrong right now. But Kylian Mbappe, the ball's been played to him by Zaire Emery, and I've got to tell you, I've never seen physicality like this from a 17-year-old before. He's absolutely bossing that midfield. He takes the ball, plays it to Mbappe, who sells Davide Calabria with another couple of step-overs, whips the ball. Unfortunately, it's straight at Mike Maignan, but that was a huge chance for PSG to go 3-0 up. And I don't think it'll be long before they do, because the football they're playing is absolutely sublime here in Paris. PSG 2, AC Milan 0, 58 minutes played.
Certainly sounds like there's going to be more goals in that game. Thanks ever so much, Ethan. Let's go back to Jamie at the Snow Stadium. AFC Tottenham were winning 3-1 against Didcot Town. Another goal's gone in though, Jamie. Which way has it gone?
It's gone to AFC Tottenham here. It is now 4-1 to Tottenham here in the 73rd minute. But the goal is beautiful. It's mesmeric. Alfie Stanley has picked up the ball about 30 yards out and wriggled himself backwards, almost in a moonwalk stance, past the centre-back. And as the on-rushing keeper has come towards the one-on-one situation, he has the composure, Nick Lincoln, to just chip it over into the far corner. I am genuinely stood stunned watching what I have just witnessed. That is one of the most mesmeric goals I've ever watched, Will. And I swear, if this was Champions League or Championship, this goal would be one to watch later. I'm so sorry you aren't here to be able to see it. But as it stands in the 73rd minute, AFC Tottenham 4, Sidcup Town 1.
There you are. You see, who needs the Championship? Who needs the Champions League when you've got mesmeric goals like that in the Southern League South Division? AFC Tottenham running away with it now by 4-1 against Didcot Town. Let's go back to the aforementioned Champions League, though, because Newcastle, albeit they're trailing at home against Dortmund, had a big chance, James Regan.
Yeah, and it's come from the substitute, Callum Wilson, who replaced Isak earlier from point-blank range. He hit it straight at Kobel, the man in goal for Dortmund. He should have scored with a man who's got 5 goals from 3 starts this campaign. You would have banked on him scoring, but it's still 0-1 to Dortmund. 58 minutes gone, but Newcastle definitely grown into the game.
There you are. So Newcastle's trailing, but perhaps not for long. But Newcastle 0, Dortmund 1. Okay, let's go back to the Championship then. Catch up with Ethan Green, watching Rotherham against Coventry City. Last we were with you, Ethan, it looked as though it was, well, they weren't necessarily having it all their own way, but importantly, Rotherham were leading. Is that still the case?
Yes, you could say that. Will have had a couple of technical difficulties trying to watch this match so far. However, Rotherham have had a couple good opportunities, mainly from outside of the box, really. They've tested Coventry keeper Ben Wilson, who has established himself as a great keeper in this league. He actually won Goalkeeper of the Year last year. But at the moment, there's been an injury for one of Rotherham players. He seems to be limping off the pitch. Another one occurred for the goalie for Rotherham a couple of moments before that. So it seems like a lot of added time will be added on to this second half. But it's currently Rotherham 1, Coventry 0 in the 77th minute. So I'm not sure how long this game's left, but it's going to be a tight finish.
It probably is. Thank you very much indeed, Ethan. So into the last sort of 12 or 13 minutes there at the New York Stadium, Rotherham 1, Coventry 0. Elsewhere in the Championship, Birmingham 0, Hull City 2 now. Hull have just added to their first goal, which was scored by Liam Delap in the first half. The second one's gone in 15 minutes from time. Bidet's Philogene has got that one. So it's Birmingham 0, Hull City 2. It's Bristol City 0, Ipswich 1. Still Plymouth beating Sheffield Wednesday by 2-0. We'll catch up with Reece in a moment or so at Deepdale and find out how Saints are getting on in an 8 o'clock kickoff. So just over an hour mark gone between Stoke and Leeds, where at the moment it is goalless. In the National League South, Havant and Waterlooville 1, Aveley 3. And as we heard from Jamie earlier on, AFC Tottenham 4, Didcot Town 1 at the Snow Stadium here in Hampshire. We go back to the Champions League in a moment or so, but let's just check in with Reece. What are we into the last 15 minutes or so at Deepdale? Is there going to be an equaliser from Southampton anytime soon?
Honestly, not too sure. They've still got 69% of the ball in terms of possession across the entire game. I do fear that the majority of that was in the first half, though. They are on the ball, Southampton, but not really creating anything with it. And now a substitute here, number 4, although only their second stoppage, so still the opportunity for one more. But there's Flynn Downs coming off for the match winner at the weekend, Ryan Fraser. Deloney from Newcastle obviously making a big impact, scoring in the 94th minute, I believe it was, against Hull to win that game. It's going to have to be another late show for Southampton here, because they're a goal down. It's 2-1 still to Preston. If they want the 3 points that they would have hoped to have had, considering Preston have lost their last 5 games, they're going to need to score pretty soon. Kamaldeen Sulemala, another substitute that's come on in the second half, looking very, very exciting down the left-hand side and beating Liam Potts quite a few times. But yeah, his high crosses haven't resulted in any chances. So 72 minutes played, 2-1 to Preston here.
Thank you very much to Reece. Incidentally, that second goal that I was talking to you about that Hull scored, Philogene, his second goal for the club, 2 in his last 3 league appearances, in actual fact. And he also scored 2 for England under-21s against Serbia in the international break. So he is a man on form, and he's banging those goals in and enjoying life with the ball at his feet at the moment. Plymouth, incidentally, also have scored a third. That's that goal coming on the 76th minute. Ryan Hardy, Scottish striker, has got Plymouth's third. So it's Plymouth 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0 with 14, 15 minutes of regulation time left. Okay, let's concentrate on the Champions League for 5 minutes or so, because plenty of action, plenty of chances going on. Let's go to Switzerland, go to Group G, to Manchester City. They were drawing 1-1 with Young Boys. What's been happening in the last few minutes, Tom Goward?
Well, I think since that Young Boys goal, it's been all Young Boys. The flares and the smoke were going off in the pitch and engulfing the pitch. But just as you come to me, I was just about to talk to you about the Young Boy chances. City have been given a penalty. Rodri's been fouled by the captain, Kamara. But Young Boys feel like they should have had a penalty at the other end. They had a corner, and Young Boys had a corner. It came to Jack Grealish, who controlled it, and it bounced up onto his arm. And there was no real look at it. There was a few appeals, but it wasn't massive. And watching back the replay, it's just bounced up onto his arm, and no, they've not really given it. Which I feel like Young Boys will feel hard done by. But Man City have got the penalty now. They're just checking it, and they check over it, and the penalty's given. So come back to me in a minute when I'm sure Haaland will slot it away.
Okay, in the meantime, let's find out about another goal in the game between AFC Tottenham and Didcot Town. Jamie, it's raining goals at the Snow Stadium.
I've actually now got a player alongside me who's actually just been watching the game. So, introduce yourself very quickly.
My name's Ryan King, new Tottenham signing. Yeah, come from
And
Plymouth.
who just scored the goal? Who's Alfie Stanley?
Alfie Stanley.
And how did he score it?
He's tucked it away brilliantly. Well taken. He slotted that home just for the Stags, just what we needed. Putting us up again. That's how we do it.
We've won here, 80th minute, and we're winning this game now.
We're winning this game.
Thank you, Will.
Up the Stags.
Sorry about that. I muted myself in all the excitement of Jamie with his new signing there at AFC Tottenham. So AFC Tottenham 5, Didcot Town 1. Good description of that fifth goal. Looks as though they are running away with it. Let's go back to Tom Goward then. The game at Manchester between Manchester City and Young Boys. Was the penalty scored? Was it missed, Tom?
No, Haaland scored it, Will. 67 minutes gone. He's gone straight down the middle. Like I said, I feel like Young Boys, both their goals they've conceded today, feel like they're hard done by. The first goal coming off the bar, and then that one they probably should have had a penalty themselves 2 minutes before down the other end. But Haaland's got his goal tonight. He's been kept quiet by the two defenders from Young Boys. I feel like they would have been very proud of themselves, but he gets an easy goal, easy penalty there. So 2-1 City, 67 minutes gone.
I was reading a stat about Erling Haaland at the weekend. The goals to shots on target ratio is absolutely ludicrous. In other words, he hardly ever has a shot on goal, but when he does, he tends to score. So it just goes to show you can keep him quiet as much as you like, but ultimately you're not always going to be able to stop him from scoring. Okay, let's go to the game between PSG and AC Milan at the Parc des Princes. Ethan Moss-Wills, you told us last time things were kicking off. They're kicking off even more?
Well, it seems they are. It's PSG 2, still AC Milan 0, 67 minutes played. But Fikayo Tomori is a very lucky boy. After finding himself booked about 10 minutes ago for possibly a soft challenge on Kolo Muani, he then 10 minutes later goes and does the same thing, slides into the back of him, and the ref's been warning him. He's very lucky to be on the pitch still. But that's not the only booking we've had. Pierre Kalulu also found himself booked. Seems like he hasn't learnt his lesson against Juventus on the weekend. But it's all kicking off now. There's a couple of players down injured at the moment. Milan Skriniar with a clash of heads with, I think that's Christian Pulisic. Injuries, harsh challenges going on all over the pitch. It is kicking off, and it seems like AC Milan are kind of losing their heads here right now. Just as the PSG start to warm up, Fabian Ruiz and Kangin Lee may be coming on for PSG soon, as they feel this game could be in the bag. PSG 2, AC Milan 0, 68 minutes played.
Thank you very much to Ethan. Great stuff. So let's go on to Celtic Park. Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 2 last time we heard. Any change to that score? What's been going on, Luke John Buckle?
66 minutes gone here, and Celtic still holding Atletico Madrid to a 2-2 draw. Brendan Rodgers also made a change. He took off Lewis Palmer and brought on Nathaniel Phillips. But it's been a bit cagey so far. Jan Oblak came flying out of his goal to, in a usual, like a sweeper keeper almost, to defend a chance from Celtic. But Celtic pushing hard now, trying to get that third goal, but it's still 2-2 here. 67 minutes gone.
Thank you very much there to Luke John watching Celtic against Atletico Madrid. Incidentally, talking of, he said there might be a third goal. FC Porto, incidentally, have really turned their game around against Antwerp. Royal Antwerp were leading 1-0 at half time, but Porto scored 3 goals in the first 25 minutes or so of the second half. So it's now Antwerp 1, FC Porto 3. Still 2-2 between Celtic and Atletico, as Luke John was saying. Last we heard, it was Newcastle 0, Dortmund 1. Is that still the case at St James's Park, James Regan?
Yeah, it's been a really cagey affair here. Both sides look really tense now as we get deeper into the second half. There's been a couple of changes made. Both sides, Adeyemi replaced Marco Reus. Surprising considering he's Dortmund's Champions League record scorer with 22, but he's already gone for an early shower. And Sandro Tonali replaces Joelinton, whilst Jacob Murphy replaces Sean Longstaff. It's still 0-1 here, Will. Not much has happened. Perhaps there was a penalty call for Dortmund, handball from Trippier, but there wasn't much in that, and the penalty got quickly waved away. But yeah, still 0-1 here at St James's Park, just gone 69 minutes.
Thanks very much to James. So not much happening there. A couple of goals in a couple of minutes, though, in the game. Well, a couple of goals in 10 minutes or so in the game between RB Leipzig and Red Star Belgrade. Xavi Simons put Leipzig 2-0 up on the hour mark. But in the last 10 minutes or so, Marko Stamenic has just equalised for, not equalised, got one back for Red Star Belgrade. So it's RB Leipzig 2, Red Star Belgrade 1, also in the Champions League. Last we heard, Manchester City were doing quite well. We're ahead. Haaland had scored from the penalty spot. He could have had another one, Tom Goward.
Yeah, City now getting control of this game. I feel like that extra goals just helped them. With 72 minutes gone and the ball's, I believe it's Doku's sprinted down the right-hand side, played the ball. Haaland's got the whole goal. He's 2 yards out and he's just blazed this so far wide. The keeper probably wasn't getting there. All Haaland had to do was just point it towards the goal from 2 yards, and he's absolutely blazed it. But City have just made some subs. The impressive Doku has come off, and Mateus Nunes have come off, and Silva and City's top goal scorer in the Champions League this season, Alvarez, have come on. But 2-1 City, 73 minutes gone here, and they look a bit more in control.
So City leading 2-1, as I say. Leipzig beating Red Star Belgrade 2-1. PSG beating AC Milan 2-0. Dortmund beating Newcastle by under 1-0. 2-2 between Celtic and Atletico Madrid. And as I mentioned before, Antwerp 1, FC Porto 3. Let's quickly just catch up with Ethan. PSG against AC Milan. PSG actually making a few changes, ringing the changes, Ethan.
Well, it's still 2-0 PSG, 72 minutes played. But like I said, Kangin Lee and Fabian Ruiz, who are both warming up, have come on in place of Manuel Ugarte and Ousmane Dembele, who will be gutted that he couldn't get on the score sheet today and perhaps deserved to be, with his goal disallowed early into the second half. Right now, the ball's just pinging around, but there's no danger of this one petering out. I think that's Reyners with the ball coming forward. Rafael Leao's looking to take on Marquinhos here, and he's going all the way, and it's out for a AC Milan corner. But it's no danger of it petering out at all. Both sides still searching for goals. Kangin Lee looks sharp coming off the bench, but PSG 2, AC Milan 0, 73 minutes played.
Thank you, Ethan. Certainly no chance of the other game going petering out between Young Boys and Man City either, Tom Goward.
Yeah, I think that's the game wrapped up now for City. Alvarez, a sub that's just come on, and their top goal scorer, has just done a lovely 1-2 with Haaland. Haaland's played it back into him, and he slotted it past the right-hand side of the goalkeeper. He's been on the pitch a minute and a half. But yeah, City wrapped up the game. 3-1 to them, 75 minutes gone.
Looks like all 3 points are going to make their way back to the Etihad. Of course, talking of goals, talking of points, it's raining goals. It has been all night at the Snow Stadium. Jamie Hale has seen another one in the game between AFC Tottenham and Didcot Town. Jamie.
Well, we're 88 minutes in now, and it's becoming a joke. AFC Tottenham 6, they've got Town 1. John Regay has just produced a moment of magic there, running through about 4 or 5 players there before bursting into the box. We've had one beautiful goal moments before, about 5-10 minutes ago. I don't have a cameo of me to describe this one, but still, Jordan Regay on an absolute march and solo run through 4 or 5 players on that left side, dug into the box, and his toe poke went straight through the legs of Leigh Bedwell. AFC Tottenham 6, Didcot Town 1, 88 minutes to play. There won't be much additional time this. I think they all just want to get in the showers and go home. What a game this has been.
And what a game. And what a game for you to report on it for us here on Solent Sports Midweek Live, Jamie. 7 goals, 6 of which going to local club AFC Tottenham, who have romped home to victory tonight. And we've still got a little bit of time to go. Talking of a little bit of time to go, in the 7:45 kickoffs in the Championship, there's all sorts of things still on the line. Let's go back to Rhys Barrett, who's watching Preston against Southampton at Deepdale. Is it still 2-1 to North End, Rhys?
It is 85 minutes played, still 2-1 here. Southampton on course for their first loss at Deepdale since 2007. They have used their final substitution to bring on Charlie Alcaraz, but in doing so, they've taken off their top goal scorer this season, Adam Armstrong, who was also acting as the captain. So Alcaraz has come on and looked exciting, and Southampton are pushing forward, especially through Alcaraz, who's taken sort of a number 10 role here. But Preston are slowing the game down as much as they can. At the moment, it's Woodman standing over a goal kick, and he's not going to take it anytime soon. It's getting a little bit feisty. It's getting broken up by little fouls. And to be honest, I don't see Southampton getting another goal back in this. I feel like despite scoring so many late goals, Preston have just got inside their heads now and got this game plan down to a T. 85 minutes gone, 2-1 Preston.
Thank you very much too, Rhys. Never say never, though, my friend. People would have said that against Hull at the weekend. And late goals are Southampton's speciality. If you work on the theory they scored in the 94th minute, that's still, even by my very basic GCSE maths, tells me that they probably got 7 or 8 minutes at least to try and find an equaliser in that game. Talking of goals, was it in? Was it not in? Has it been allowed? Has it not been allowed? Another goal going in the game between Young Boys and Manchester City, but has it been chalked off, Tom Goward?
Yeah, so Alvarez, I just told you that Alvarez has scored and actually been ruled out by VAR for handball in the build-up. Jack Grealish, the ball bouncing up onto his hand just before he laid it off to Alvarez, who then did the 1-2 with Haaland. So the goal was ruled out. It took a while for the ref to go over to the monitor, but eventually went over and he took him a couple of seconds to make up his mind. And then speaking of handballs, the ball was back in play. And Rico Lewis received the ball just on his right-hand side, playing right back, that kind of inverted role, right-back role. He kind of just stuck out his arm to keep the ball in play, blatantly hit him on the middle of the arm, and the referee just didn't see it. The fans behind right were that right there, and the players were all screaming. The ref hasn't given it, but he's blatantly stuck out his arm to keep the ball in play, and the refs kept the game going. So I feel like Young Boys are suddenly up against it now. But yeah, still 2-1 City, 77 minutes gone.
There you are. So still 2, not 3, but still City look as though they are good for the points. Let's see whether or not Rotherham United are going to be good for the points. Last time we heard from Ethan Green, they were beating Coventry by 1-0 at the New York Stadium. Must be into the final throws, Ethan. Is it still 1-0? Ethan Green, can you hear me? Looks as though we're having a few problems getting hold of Ethan, so we'll come back to Ethan in a moment or so in the game between Rotherham and Coventry City. In the meantime, I can tell you elsewhere in the Championship that Birmingham are trailing at home to Hull City by 2-0. So that's Birmingham 0, Hull City 2. In fact, looks as though, just being told, looks as though there's another goal gone in the game between AFC Tottenham and Didcot. What a game to go to, Jamie Hale.
There's 8 goals for the game now. We're about 2 minutes into additional time, and I'm actually starting to think that the nutritionist at Tottenham has put his job because they seem hungry for more today. The score is 7-1, and to top it off, Liam Maloney plays a 1-2 from the short corner, catches everyone out, and instead of going for a little ball across the box as you normally would in a tactic, he just sends it into the top right corner. It's a sublime goal, and it's been. I have no words to describe how this feels right now, but this has been one of the greatest games I've been ever able to report on. About probably no longer than 40 seconds before the final whistle blows. AFC Tottenham 7, Didcot Town 1. It's
There you
7.
are. It's 7 heaven. It's 7 heaven for Jamie Hale, who's seen AFC Tottenham score 7 tonight against Didcot Town. And those 3 points in the Southern League South Division, very much truly in the bag. Okay, back to Ethan Green then. We were saying that Rotherham United were beating Coventry by 1-0 deep into added time at the New York Stadium. Have they wrapped it all up, Ethan? Ethan, can you hear us?
Just about, Will. Rotherham have doubled their lead. It's the goal from their midfielder, Rathbone, who completes off a well-worked team goal. The ball was crossed into the box to forward Huggill, who chests it back to Rathbone, who smashes it home and gives a deserved second goal in this match. Rotherham were going to have their second win and were slowly going to climb out of the relegation battle here. They thoroughly deserved this victory as Coventry come close again, but it looks like here it's going to end Rotherham 2, Coventry 0. 96 minutes played here at the New York Stadium.
Thank you very much to Ethan. We'll be back with you at full time to get your full-time report. But it looks as though the points are staying in South Yorkshire. Rotherham 2, Coventry City 0. That goal by Rotherham's Rathbone, by the way, his first goal since February of 2021. So it's been long in the coming. Very quickly back to the Snow Stadium, where it is now full-time between FC Tottenham and Didcot Town. Jamie Hale. No, can't get hold of Jamie at the moment, but I can tell you that it has finished. AFC Tottenham 7, Didcot Town 1. Although Didcot Town did have a man sent off, nonetheless, 7 goals conceded is something that's going to take them a while to get over, I would suspect. Okay, back to the Champions League then. Let's have a quick roundup of what's been going on. Let's first of all go to Ethan Moss-Wills, where we've seen 2 goals already between PSG and AC Milan. Almost a third, though, Ethan.
Well, the chances just haven't stopped coming here in Paris. It's Kylian Mbappe who's had the chance, and he's cut in, just laid off to him by Vitinha. He's cut in and tipped onto the post by Mike Maignan. But before that, it was Davide Calabria with a penalty shout. Turns out it was just outside the box, so wasn't given in the end. But even before that, Olivier Giroud had a header on target. Rafael Leao's hit the side netting. It's just all going off. This game's not slowing down at all. And I think that's a brilliant save. Watching it here on the replay, it's a brilliant save from Mike Maignan to deny Mbappe is second on the night. But I think this may just have one more goal left in it yet. 82 minutes played, PSG 2, AC Milan 0.
Well, with at least 10 minutes, there's still plenty of time. Let's go back to Luke John Bockel then, where Celtic are trying to change things up to get a late winner at Celtic Park against Atletico Madrid. Luke John.
80 minutes gone here, Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 2, and Brendan Rodgers' side have just taken off Kyogo, and they've put on James Forrest with 10 minutes to go. They've been controlling the game well, moving the ball around nicely, and defending well when Anton Griezmann has had a couple of half chances, but still 10 minutes to go. Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 2.
Thank you very much, Luke John. Let's go back to the Championship then, because it must be added time now at Deepdale. Southampton trailing by 2-1. Any chance of an equaliser, Reese?
92 minutes played here at Deepdale out of the 96, 6 minutes added on. Southampton completely in control now, Will, and it's Greg Cunningham who's just taken a yellow card there for time wasting. He was holding a throw in and decided to throw it on the floor for some reason that's beyond me, but he's been booked for that sort of those dark arts that you're not really allowed to do anymore since the introduction of new rules over the summer. Flynn Downs tried a spectacular bicycle kick inside of the box just next to the penalty spot a minute ago, but it ended up being a foul against Southampton for a high foot there, and there's been no clear-cut chances. Kamaldeen Sulemala trying his best to weave through several players, but he's being fouled every time he's getting on the ball. 3 minutes to go here in this game, and Southampton still passing it around the back. They need a chance and they need it fast. 93 minutes played, Preston 2, Southampton 1.
Thanks very much to Reese. I can confirm that in the Championship it's ended Birmingham 0, Hull City 2, Bristol City 0, Ipswich 1, and Sheffield Wednesday have lost a long trip all the way down to Plymouth. It's a long way to go on a Wednesday night, believe you me. That's hours and hours and hours on the coach on the way back for those travelling fans. They've got absolutely nothing to cheer about. They've been pummeled 3-0 away from home, and that's going to be a dark memory for them to get over, he says, not trying to laugh too much. We'll go back to Ethan in a moment or so in the game between Rotherham and Coventry, and here is full-time report. Stoke, incidentally, have taken the lead against Leeds. A Struijk own goal, first own goal of his career. The Leeds player was put through his own net, so Stoke 1, Leeds 0. There's still 6 or 7 minutes left in that game. Back to Luke John Buckle, though, because it's evenly matched at Celtic Park, 2-2 between Celtic and Atletico Madrid. But you've seen a red card, Luke John.
82 minutes gone here, still 2-2 between Celtic and Atletico Madrid. But Rodrigo de Paul has been sent off for a reckless challenge on Paulo Bernardo. Second yellow for him. And now Diego Simeone side are really under pressure, really under the cosh in Glasgow. And their position in the group is pretty precarious now, with the result being at 2-2 and Final getting the job done earlier on. But still 2-2 here, but Atletico Madrid down to 10 men.
Thanks very much, Luke John. So 2-2, but Atletico down to 10 men. Let's go back to Jamie then at the Snow Stadium. I know you've got some media duties to do, Jamie, so give us your full-time report.
I don't know where to start. Full-time here, 7-1. I mean, there's not much to say. I couldn't even go through the goal scorers without messing it up. But it's been an absolute knockback to reality for us. We've needed a win which could secure us as almost a title contender. I say us as a fan, but I work for them, so I can kind of do it. I can let myself go with it. And unfortunately, a few minutes ago, I wasn't on there because Sam Scorsese and also Ryan Lane both here just talking a bit about how good the team is. So unfortunately, a little bit preoccupied. But the game itself, it started off 1-0 in the first half, and how Tottenham turn around and score 6 in the second half reminds me of the Tottenham versus Wigan back in 2009. But I just have to say, I need to shoot off. I'm just as quick as those last goals went in. I'm going to head off. So, good night, Will. Good night, all from me. AFC Tottenham 7, Bidcote Town 1. That's the last update from me.
Thank you very much, Jamie. So 7-1 victory. He's happy. And AFC Tottenham, no doubt, will be happy. Another man who might be happy. Well, in course, there may be thousands of Saints fans that are happy. We said don't rule them out, Reece Barrett. They are the kings of late goals. And it looks as though Saints have done it again.
They have done it again. 96 minutes played here at Deepdale, and it's Gavin Bazunu who's managed to get the equaliser by the looks of things. Ryan Fraser took the corner standing over it, whipped it nicely into the front post. The keeper had ran up in what might be one of the last kicks of the game as we get underway here. Gavin Bazunu ran up. He takes a header and it bounces off 2 other defenders and goes in. It's one of the last touches of the game as it comes to full time now. Full time at Deepdale. Preston 2, Southampton 2. Honestly, Southampton might have stolen a point there, but they will not complain. Gavin Bazunu, in his 50th appearance for the Saints, might have just got the equaliser. We'll see if it goes down as an own goal, but it came off his head for sure. It came off a couple other body parts as well from different defenders, but it's Gavin Bazunu who might have just rescued a point for Southampton here at full time.
What drama. Goalkeeper coming up for a set piece and potentially, well, either way, whether it goes down to him or an own goal, Southampton have managed to rescue a point. They managed to get 3 at the weekend in the last minute and 1 now in this game as well. Fantastic stuff from the Saints. It's raining goals in the Champions League. We'll quickly go to Manchester City, where Tom Goward has seen a third for Man City.
Yeah, that's all 3 points. Well, it's 89 minutes gone and Haaland's done what Haaland does best. He received the ball just inside the box on the left-hand side. He's opened it up on his right foot and bent it to this top right corner. The keeper's just stood there and watched it flown in. It was a beautiful, well-worked goal from City and finished off by the main man. So I think all 3 points now going to City. He's just come off action. They just brought Gomez on, obviously just to rest him. Young boy's trying to push for a second, but City just defending now. So 89 minutes gone, 3-1 City.
Thanks very much too, Tom. Looks like those points are wrapped up. It looks like also that PSG have wrapped up the points at home to AC Milan, Ethan Moss-Wills.
Well, it's doing the PSG show tonight. They've been absolutely superb. And it's a combination of substitutes. First off, it's Warren Zaire-Emery, who's been my man of the match tonight. And for a 17-year-old, he's been absolutely fantastic. He cuts the ball back, and it's a wonderful dummy from Gonzalo Ramos, who replaced the earlier goal scorer, Kolo Muani. And Kangin Lee, with all the time in the world, doesn't even need to take a touch, powers it right into that bottom right-hand corner. But the AC Milan fans are still here. They're still singing their songs, making their noise, making themselves heard. Maybe, if they're lucky, they'll see a first goal in the Champions League this season. But right now, it looks like it's going to be 5 Champions League games without a goal for AC. 90th minute now, 4 minutes of added time left to play. PSG 3, AC Milan 0.
Thank you very much there to Ethan. Let's check in now with James Regan, watching Newcastle United against Dortmund at St James's Park. It's been a while since we've heard from you, James, because the story has been elsewhere. The goals have been flying in, but you've had a bit of action yourself.
Yeah, Callum Wilson hit the bar. It's from a free kick taken by Target, who replaced Dan Burn earlier on. It was a really good chance, really good header. But yeah, just ricocheted off the bar. The keeper wasn't getting there. Newcastle piling on the pressure now in the last few minutes. There's been a flurry of changes as well. Dortmund's made a triple substitution. Made way was Fulkrug. It was also Marlon, who was my personal man of the match, ran riot. And also it was a long time ago, Will. I can't remember who else was the other one to come off, but it was replaced. They were replaced by Sula, Reina, and Sebastian Haller. Haller's actually got a really good record. He's got 16 goals in 20 competitive European matches. So maybe a late dagger from him, but still 0-1 here at St James's Park as Newcastle pile under pressure, and we're going into added time now.
Thanks very much to James. So it looks like Dortmund are going to hold out for all 3 points. Newcastle United struggling to make an impact in that game at home. What drama with all these late goals tonight. So Saints managing to get a late goal at home away to make it 2-2. City scoring late goals as well. Paris Saint-Germain doing the business at home as well in their game. Let's now go back to Rhys Barrett, who can give us a full-time report on Preston North End against Southampton.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, it is full-time here. Preston 2, Southampton 2. And from all the excitement of Bazunu potentially getting a goal on his 50th appearance, the own goal has been given to Liam Potts. It came off of Bazunu's head. He won the header at the near post. It hit Ched Evans as well on the way in. The Welsh striker came on in the 75th minute, so not a cameo for him to remember. It bounces off Potts as well and nestles into the near post, 71% possession for Southampton overall at the end of the game. You'd think, looking at the stats, that they deserved the win. Completely honestly, though, they did not. It was a really tough game and a tough watch at times for a Southampton fan, if you are one, because watching them on the ball in their own penalty box, trying to play it out from the back when you're a goal down, it can really frustrating, but they stuck with it and they got that late equaliser, But Preston fans will probably leave Deepdale thinking that they should have won that game. They had the bigger chances. They took the bigger chances at times, but it's Southampton who have rescued a point away. It's going to be a nice trip back down to Hampshire for those travelling fans, as they've taken a point at the Deepdale. Full-time, Preston 2, Southampton 2.
Thank you very much to Rhys. So late drama in that game. There was late drama also in the game between Rotherham and Coventry that we heard from Ethan earlier on. Rotherham doubling their lead late in that one, but managing to hold on to all 3 points, which will, of course, delight them and very much needed in their battle against relegation. So full times from the Championship tonight: Birmingham 0, Hull City 2, Bristol City 0, Ipswich 1. It finished Plymouth 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Preston 2, Southampton 2, as Rhys was saying, Rotherham 2, Coventry 0. And in the 93rd minute, in an 8 o'clock kickoff, it's currently Stoke 1, Leeds 0 as we speak. Let's go back to the Champions League then. Quick roundup in the games that we're covering. Celtic against Atletico Madrid at Celtic Park. Luke John Buckle.
Yeah, deep in added time now. 3 minutes to go here. Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 2. And Celtic knocking on the door of Atletico Madrid. They know that a point really isn't good enough tonight if they want to qualify. And the ball just got in, headed away by Atletico Madrid. And Celtic really knocking on the door. But still, 2-2.
Thanks very much to Luke John. Let's go to the Parc des Princes where, is it over? Has it finished? Are you still in added time, Ethan Moss-Wills?
I can confirm it is all over now. 3-0 to PSG. A superb display from the Parisian side. Luis Enrique will be really happy with that. They've been singing the songs all night, the PSG fans, and the atmosphere has been incredible. Not just from the PSG fans, from the AC Milan fans too, have kept singing to the final whistle. But there was goals from Kylian Mbappe with the pick of the bunch of the first, hammering it into the bottom left corner. Kolo Muani with a scrappy second, and Kangin Lee to top it all off after a dummy by Gonzalo Ramos. But my man of the match goes to that 17-year-old kid right there, Warren Zaire-Emery, who is absolutely superb, and that is definitely a name to remember. Full-time here, PSG 3, AC Milan 0. What a game.
Fantastic stuff. Well described as well. Ethan Moss-Wills watching that one for us at the Parc des Princes. It's also full-time in Switzerland. Young Boys hosting Manchester City. In the end, relatively straightforward, Tom Goward.
Yeah, straightforward for City, full-time now. I don't think, despite the scoreline, I don't think it's their most convincing win. I don't think Pep will be too happy with the full-time result. They had a goal come off the bar that they tapped in the penalty. I think Young Boys should be proud. They've done their fans, they've done their manager, they've done themselves proud tonight, because it's tough, whichever team you are, to play City if you're home or away. But City come away with all 3 points and progress out of the group or Group G onto the knockouts. So yeah, full-time here, 3-1 City.
Thank you very much. And a little bit behind the other teams, but Newcastle aren't giving up just yet, are they, James Regan?
No, they just hit the bar, and oh my God, do they deserve to be at Leaf level? It's the referee's just blown up for full time. The bar hit came from Fabian Schär. It was deflected in the end, but Newcastle should be coming out of this game level. They dominated, especially the last 15 minutes of that match. But it's Borussia Dortmund who are hugging and celebrating with each other as they come away with a massive 3 points in Group F. And I believe it puts them second. But full-time here at St. James's Park, Newcastle 0, Borussia Dortmund 1, thanks to a goal coming from Nemecha in the first half.
Thanks very much to James. Yeah, Newcastle, of course, also forced into all sorts of changes. Isak coming off after only 15 minutes, Callum Wilson replacing him. He also made changes in the second half. Murphy, Tonali, Willock, and Target all coming on for Burn, Murphy, Longstaff and Joel Linton. Allaire and Reina coming on also for Dortmund, who in the end, as James was saying, held on for that 1-0 victory. And it is a big, important 1-0 victory for them as well, because they haven't had the start that they wanted in the group stages of the Champions League. But as James was saying, it does put them second in the table. Paris Saint-Germain top with 6 points, Dortmund second with 4, Newcastle third also with 4, but slightly inferior goal difference. Better goal difference, but on a head-to-head record, they go third, and AC Milan currently at the bottom with 2 points. So that's the way that it stands at the moment. As Tom was saying, it's relatively easy for Manchester City, who are already through to the knockout stages with 3 wins from 3, 9 points for them. That's because Young Boys and Red Star Belgrade have both only got 1 point from their opening 3 games. So irrespective of what City do from this point onwards, they will still qualify at least in second place. That being currently held by RB Leipzig, who have won 2 and lost 1 and have got 6 points in their group so far. Let's go to Luke John Buckle with the full time between Celtic and Atletico Madrid.
Full time at Celtic Park. Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 2. The points are shared here in Glasgow. And for all Celtic's work here tonight, you can sense that for Brendan Rodgers' side, a point really isn't enough. They sit bottom of Group E, critically 4 points away from Atletico Madrid in second. And they now really have to go to the Metropolitano in 2 weeks and minimum get something from that game, which will be very difficult for the Scottish champions. And it sounds like we're almost playing for a point as the second half wore on. No one was really attacking the 6-yard box. They missed some chances from a long way outside the box, and you can almost sense the agony around the ground as the ball blazed over the bar. But it's ended here 2-2.
Thanks very much, Luke. John, yeah, as he was touching upon, Feyenoord top of that group, and it is a tight group, so all is not lost, but Feyenoord, after 3 games, are top, 2 wins and a defeat with 6 points. Atletico Madrid, unbeaten so far, a win and 2 draws on 5 points. Lazio have a win, a draw and a defeat, they're on 4, but only a solitary point for Celtic. Tonight's solitary points, they really did need those 3 if they could have held on, but they didn't. So they've lost 2 and drawn 1. So they are bottom with 1 point as we speak. All is not lost, though. So it's looking good for City. It's looking good for Newcastle, albeit they lost tonight, but not quite so good for Celtic in the Champions League groups. Okay, well, that rounds up pretty much everything. Just to recap what you've seen and heard tonight here on Solent Sports News Midweek Live. In the Championship, it ended Birmingham City 0, Hull City 2, Bristol City 0, Ipswich Town 1, Plymouth Argyle 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Preston North End 2, Southampton 2, Rotherham United 2, Coventry City 0. It ended Stoke City 1, Leeds United 0. In the National League tonight, it was Havant and Waterlooville 1. They did have a man sent off, but they lost by 4-1 at home to Aveley. In the Southern League South Division, our reporter Jamie Hale told you about AFC Tottenham beating Didcot by 7-1. Didcot again did have a man sent off, but still nonetheless, that's an absolute thrashing. In the Champions League group stages tonight, full times, Barcelona 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 1, Feyenoord 3, Lazio 1. It finished Antwerp 1, FC Porto 4, Celtic 2, Atletico Madrid 2, Newcastle United 0, Borussia Dortmund 1, Paris Saint-Germain 3, AC Milan 0, RB Leipzig 3, Red Star Belgrade 1, and Young Boys 1, Manchester City 3. That's what happened. Hope you enjoyed the coverage tonight. Your reports coming from Rhys Barrett, Ethan Green, Jamie Hale, Luke John Buckle, Ethan Moss-Wills, James Regan, and Tom Goward. I think you all agree that they did us and themselves proud tonight. I'm Will Cope, signing off. Thanks very much for joining us, and tune in again to our news programmes throughout the week here on Solent Sports News. Good night and God bless.